Good afternoon, good evening, everybody. However you happen to be watching this, I want to thank you for joining the Gaming Circle podcast, the podcast where each week we try to, make sense of what's going on in the gaming streets. But this week we're changing things up a little bit. As you can see, I've leveled up in a different way. And my man, the Everborn Saga, is not with us this week. But you know what? I think at the end of the day, it'll all work out. So this week, the Gaming Circle podcast is going a little international. And I'll explain what I mean once I introduce my guests. First and foremost, he needs no introduction, but I'm going to give him one anyway because, you've seen him around. He's the man who walks around here speaking truth in the Twitter streets. He takes crap from nobody. Trust me. You want to try? Send him a tweet and see what happens. Right? He is a proud member of the PTG Brethren and host of the I'm messing that up. The Midweek Mix-Up podcast. Yeah, you see what I did there? Still too early. The Viking himself, Wandering Dutch. How are you doing today, sir?
I'm not bad, bro. I'm not bad. I think the Midweek Mix-Up is perfectly sums up how to pronounce that because it does mix people up every time they try to say it. So
I appreciate you coming here. Yes, go ahead.
Great stuff. I'm really looking forward to getting into this with both of my brothers there, both from PTG and Midweek Mix-Up. It's going to be an awesome little show. Nice way to start a Saturday.
Yeah, wonderful. I completely agree. And as you can see, I have a second guest, and this guest I'm very excited for more so than ever because I find out this man is from my own hometown, believe it or not, even though he looks like he's from my hometown and I don't. That's fine. The man these days finds himself streaming on Twitch. You can find him on Twitter. All of his details are in the show notes for later consumption. If you want to find out where you can find him, all his links are there. He's part of the Midweek Mix-Up collective. The man who I heard you speak and I was just like, I know this man. I recognize the accent. I wonder where he's from. And then I saw the Nil Safe and Nil in the back, and I'm like, oh, I know where this man is from. Ladies and gentlemen,
nice.
We're talking Patch and Nil Safe and Nil. What's going on, man? How you doing here?
What's up? It's really awesome to be here, man. This is actually my first time being on another podcast, and it's an honor to be here, man. So thank you for inviting me, and it's great to be with.
This is great.
Yeah, man. Yeah, and it's great to be with Dutch on the show as well. Since I've been around the start with him with the Midweek Mix-Up, and man, awesome.
So go ahead and tell, for the few folks who might not know all the wonderful things you do in gaming and on Twitter and all of that. Please tell us what you do and how people can get in touch with you and be a part of your community.
Yeah, so what I do is I have my own Twitch channel. It's the same name as it says right here, PatJeuh070. I stream like 2, maybe 3 times in a week, different kind of games. I do also requests of people that want to see me play games, what they want, if I have it. I'm also head of the Twitch Midweek Mix-Up Collective channel. That's an auto host Twitch channel. So we will recruit small streamers and help them grow by auto hosting them and giving them a shout out on social media and that kind of stuff. So that's
really cool. That I see. These are the things that we need to know more about in this community. I don't think that is as well known in the community as it should. That's an awesome initiative to get more people to see things. That's great. Yeah. But okay. No, please continue.
Yeah. It was an idea from Dutch. So from the moment that he told me this, I was like, let's, why not? And let's go for it. And I got now a few people that are in this program. One of them is Perepluk, also known as Emil. And we got, I think, Hertog Finn, also one of the Midweek Mix-Up podcast members. And I'm now, it's just a start. So we're building up this thing, and I'm gonna look for other streamers to help out and grow their community. So yeah,
that's awesome news, man. And by the way, folks, if you guys start seeing weird looks on my face or you hear me saying weird things, he speaks Dutch, and I speak Dutch as well, but I rarely get a chance to use it. So every time he drops something, I go, he just said plucking pears. Interesting. Anyway, continue. But you know what? We're going to start this conversation the way we usually do on this show, and we'll just talk about what we've been playing this week. This week, So that everybody knows, my gaming habits have gotten a little weird as of late, and maybe it's because there's all this new gaming stuff going on, and there's a lot of different games to try and stuff. But I've been playing a lot more on PC and on Xbox, so I end up jumping from game to game to game to game. The latest of which you're looking at on the screen right now. I decided to jump back into Demon Souls. I played this on PS3. I am absolutely terrible at it. It is the worst gameplay footage you will see anywhere. You probably will see me falling multiple times, but it's a beautiful looking game, and I decided to start playing it now. How about you, Dutch? What kind of games have you been playing this week?
So obviously we're going to be speaking a little bit about Halo at some point.
Oh, you can speak on it. Yeah, speak on it.
Yeah,
We've been speaking about this for weeks now. Please go ahead.
Yes,
I knew we were talking about.
Of course, we had one of the most awesome of weekends playing Big Team Battle this weekend just gone, with a full group of 12, and then even when we had 12, there was at least 4 or 5 waiting to get in on the wings for when anybody dropped out, which was a difficult thing to do because nobody wanted to really stop playing. So we had an awesome time playing Big Team Battle. After that, to be honest, with podcasts and things like that, I haven't really had too much of a chance to play anything. So I jumped into Far Cry 6. I've got about a couple of hours in that now.
How is that? I've been thinking about playing it.
Yeah, I'm liking it so far. It is obviously and naturally everything that people are saying about it. It is more Far Cry is true. Of course, it is definitely just more Far Cry. It does look really pretty, but it's even with the HD textures and everything, it's very much still. You can tell it was built around the previous generation.
Oh yeah.
We'll definitely come to see more of it, I think. Well, at least the move on from it in the next Far Cry, but story wise is really good. It's a little bit of a slow build up. You start on a smaller island, which is what I'm going through now. When I zoomed out, the map is absolutely humongous, so looking to see how it goes. But I'll be much like I do with a lot of these larger games. I play them in between other things. So I dive in for an hour or so here and there, make a little bit more progress, and then carry on. Some of these games are just far too big for me. I've got gaming ADD, so I can't kind of sit and play the same thing for just weeks on end unless it really, really grabs my attention. So Psychonauts, for instance, like that one really grabbed us, and that one wasn't mega big, but it was still like 20 odd hours. And I didn't play anything but Psychonauts when I was playing through Psychonauts. Sim went for Scarlet Nexus. Like I played that game start to finish without playing anything else.
Wow, that is hard to do. I'm in the middle of Scarlet Nexus right now, and I'm just like, there's just way more story here. Too much story, in fact. That's amazing. You played the whole thing. How many hours did that take?
Whole thing. Probably about 35 hours, I think.
Yeah. See, don't say that to a dad. That just seems like a hill that's too high to climb at this point.
You know what it is? The vast majority of that story went pretty quickly. Like it felt like it was progressing up until kind of pretty much near the end segment. There was one segment where you go into this other kind of alternate futuristic-y universe that kind of reminds you a little bit of Destiny with all these blocks and things that you have to jump on. And that bit just went on for a bit too long.
Too long for you? Okay.
I felt that section could have, and there wasn't anything that happened in between the kind of entering that place to the end point of that place that needed that much padding. They could have really trimmed down that particular section and it would have still been great.
Yeah.
I think other than that,
padded it out a little too much. You think
just that section padded out a little bit too much. But other than that, the rest of the game, great story, great characters, intrigued us enough to keep going. And there's only been a handful of big AAA games that have got us that way this year. Again, the aforementioned Cyberpunk, played that start to finish without changing. Assassin's Creed Valhalla, of course, just because of the Viking and where it was based, obviously in Old England. Of that one, I played that one start to finich. That was 70 hours. But I played that one start to finish. But that was
I'm not jealous at all, man. I wish I had that time. I'm not jealous at all.
But
I've touched every one of these games you're talking about, but I've never been able to finish them all because it's so big, most of these games.
But yeah, so Far Cry at the minute, of course. When I think much like a lot of people, when Halo comes out, I'm going to be utterly invested in Halo.
Oh, heck yes. Heck
And
yes.
just
Oh, yeah.
before that, I'm going to be utterly invested in Forza Horizon.
Indeed. Yeah, that's a marry game. You're going to be playing that one for a long time, I suspect. I say there are games you marry and games you date. You know, you go, you play it a little bit, then you go back. Forza's a marry game. And so is Halo.
100%.
You're going to be playing that
Yeah.
all generation long, I suspect. You know.
Yep.
How about you, PatJeuh? What you been playing these days?
Not so much actually.
Mm-hmm.
I played some Battlefield, the open beta.
How was that?
I don't know. It's rough. Still,
Right after the
it's a little
Halo
bit
beta,
rough.
that's a hard sell, bro. Hard sell.
Yeah,
What do you think?
yeah. Also, I've as you guys probably know, some of you know that I didn't play Halo in the past. This is actually the first Halo that I'm interested in, and it was really nice to spend the weekend with the guys playing the big team battles and stuff. So yeah, for sure, when Halo comes out, I'll be playing this as well. Last week when we had the podcast, they recommend me to download the Master Chief Collection, so I did as well. Booted it up, played for now like maybe 2 hours or something. But I'll definitely gonna continue this story. It looks really nice. And yeah, my what did I play more? PUBG, I guess.
You're still on
Basically,
PUBG. I know you're big into PUBG.
Yeah, man.
You're still playing.
Yeah, for sure thing, man.
All the other battle royales haven't gotten you off of your square. You're still square in PUBG.
Yeah. None
There
of
you
the
go.
other battle royale games gives me this like
Gives you that
the
PUBG feel.
adrenaline. Yeah, the adrenaline rush when you are like in the top 10, you know. So it's
So what
it's still
happens? And here's a quick digression. What happens when Halo comes out and goes, "Here's a battle royale"? What do you do then?
I'll play it. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah?
I'll play it.
So
Yeah.
you're ready to uplift your love of PUBG if a better one shows up. It's just that a better one hasn't showed up yet, in your opinion.
In my opinion, not. I've seen a new game, but it's now only on PC. I
Okay.
hope it comes to console. It's called Super People of Superhuman.
Okay, I'll write that
and
down.
that game
Check
is
it out.
like
All right.
the game
Battle
is
Royale like.
Battle Royale like, PUBG like, and it looks really good. So I hope that comes to console. But probably that's the game that can switch me from PUBG to that. So yeah, we'll see.
And salute to Gerald Mack in the chat. Salute to all you in the chat. Please, if you haven't done so yet, please hit the like button. Please subscribe. I've been told I don't say that enough, so now I'm going to start saying that more. He's out here saying Battlefield beta was really rough. The fact that you can still find fun says a lot. So I thought it was very interesting that they were like, hey, we're just going to put this Battlefield beta out right when everyone's talking about the Halo stuff. Right when everybody's talking about the Halo stuff, that's when we're going to put the Battlefield beta out. What does that mean, bro? That's just it's a little bit. They're bold, you know.
Yeah,
I downloaded it.
So far, like I've played it as well. So far, it hasn't, and I think I mentioned this on our show as well. I think we've been spoiled by just how well polished that Halo multiplayer was, because that Battlefield one, as Gerald says, is rough. Graphically, in terms of pop-ins, in terms of issues like that. But even then, the UI is really clunky. Switching weapons and putting attachments on is
he always shows up and he's always got to be ridiculous. I got to do it. Salute to the man, Somo Backslap. Oh, we here talking games and not slandering stuff? Evermore must not be here. Salute to you in slow-mo. Good job. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Dutch.
Yeah, it was for me particularly the one thing about that is, and I think a few people have mentioned it as well, is we know Battlefield's big. We know it's a big open world, like 36v36 or 64v64. It's a big game, but the fact that you've got to spend the vast majority of your time playing that game, running from objective to objective, and not actually fighting anybody, it takes away from it as well. You feel like you're out of the action more than you're in the action. And when you do get in the action, you can get annihilated from some sniper the half end of the map. But then when you go to try and snipe someone, it doesn't do any damage, or it just goes straight through them. But but the weapon, the UI is just completely unintuitive. Like completely unintuitive. Like trying to attach weapon attachments, you've got to like press like left bumper, then press A, but then press up on the D-pad to try and figure out how to get the scope to attach, the right scope that you want to attach, and then put the right thing on the bottom to attach, the right thing on the left to attach.
So let me ask you a quick question.
What the?
Do you think this has something to do with that I just played the Halo beta too recently, so now I'm like skewed into what the other side is doing?
100%.
Had they waited a while, would this have been a bit better, you think?
I think it needs pushed back, but I don't think the EA are going to be willing to push this game back to make the required changes to this. I think the game definitely needs pushed back in another few months, and only to make it better. Like I love Battlefield, and I've played even before this to get myself kind of back in the Battlefield move. I downloaded Battlefield 5 and was playing that on stream quite a bit, and get brushing up on sniper skills and things again. And like I love Battlefield when Battlefield does it right, but like it feels like
when it's at that high clip of crazy chaos, organized chaos, it seems like other people are stealing its lunch a little, right?
Yeah,
with all that chaos is going elsewhere. Others seem to be doing it better, right? Am I mistaken? I downloaded it, but I didn't. For the life of me, I just could not play it because I just know that big team battle experience that we had, and for those that don't know, you know, Dutch was instrumental in putting together an awesome, like ridiculous man team to go out there and just murk fools in big team battle over the weekend when it was available. So it kind of tainted us for every other kind of multiplayer massive game. I think that's maybe some of Battlefield's problem here. Those of us who experience the full breadth of big team battle are just like, nah, bro, you got to do more than that now, I think.
Yeah, and I think one of the other issues as well on such a big, realistic looking map is visibility of enemy. Oh, absolutely. There is no end of the amount of times that I looked at someone, thought it was an enemy, and it was a teammate because you only get a little green dot above their head.
Yeah.
And
I hear
it's
you.
the same with like teammates as well. We're looking at us and shooting at us, and they're like, "Oh,
see who's who in the environment." Yeah, exactly. I agree with that. That's been my issue with multiplayers in general for a while now. I'll say Halo did something interesting in that respect, where they let you, you know, people have been complaining about the red versus blue thing that used to be the standard. They let you make different changes. Now, the default, to be fair, the default colors that show up aren't usually the best colors, even in Halo. So you kind of blend in the map. But you can go under the accessibility settings and make like your enemies like bright purple and all this, and it really helps to pick them out of the map. I hope that some of the different multiplayer games kind of steal that feature from Halo and start instituting that more. I find that in COD a lot. Like certain maps, I can't see the difference between enemy versus friend or even the environment, you know, because they blend so gray and dark together. You know, I completely agree with what you're saying. Yeah. So do you think that when this comes out, there will be enough of a fan base that it can carve its own niche and just do its own thing? Or do you think that, hey, they should delay it because even at its best, it might not do what it needs to against the competition?
No, I think Battlefield and Halo will still take it. I think COD's completely missed the boat this year entirely. Like, not only has it missed the boat, but like the one and only time it had to show off, it didn't even hit on the Richter scale. Like, if you ever look at how many people were actually looking for it or looking at it or watching streams about it and searching for it, it didn't even hit the blips. Like, barely touched the search recommendations for Call of Duty, and that's not like them.
I did see some articles saying that Halo had overshadowed both COD and Battlefield in like the conversation online and whatnot, which is very unusual. You know, doesn't mean they'll buy it, doesn't mean sales will translate, but it's an interesting sign. You know, people have been talking about it all week. I did see that. You're right.
And in general, I mean, COD will sell because, again, those that are not ingrained in the community like we are, the normal casuals who just go out and buy games and just buy the next Call of Duty every time it comes out, will still go out and just buy the next Call of Duty. I know I think my friend, he's not ingrained like me. He occasionally kind of goes online to watch new trailers and things when he can. But I think he's switching over to Battlefield this year as opposed to Call of Duty, and he's usually just gets a Call of Duty every year. But the vast majority of people, I think, will just stick with what they're used to. the more ingrained in the community like us, we've already pinpointed our two main dogs for this fight, and that's Halo and Battlefield. And we've only seen a glimpse of both of those games. I've seen a lot of COD YouTubers have showed kind of different modes off and things like that.
Yeah, Vanguard isn't looking that great, is it? It's looking buggy and weird, and I'm just like, this is unusual for Call of Duty. Am I wrong?
It is very unusual. They don't normally. I mean, it's usually got bugs and things in its closed betas and alphas, but it's never been that much of a mess. But we were hearing rumors weeks, if not months beforehand, that there was issues going on with COD's development. And it's not normally kind of left so late in the day to start announcing it and testing it and things either. So they could possibly be having issues with it. It's apparent through the closed beta and alpha. It wasn't just one set of fans. It wasn't just Xbox. It wasn't just PC. It was the whole side. Anyone who got to play that said it was a mess. Like PC, and they said Xbox, PlayStation.
Even specifically on Xbox, there were like not bugs, but like ridiculous, unfinished, broken graphic craziness on screen. You know,
they didn't even look
unusual things.
Didn't even look like weapons. Didn't even look like
some
weapons.
Weird stuff is going on. Like, it's not like, oh yeah, it's done but not stable. It's like not done. There's like wireframe assets and stuff like in the middle of the thing. It's just so weird. Anyway, we could keep talking the multiplayer moving forward, but I just hope that when this holiday season comes, that there's place enough for all of them to kind of find their own thing, because my fear is that everybody goes in on Halo and then they blow their load a little too early. Before the rest of them show up and before Forge comes and all that, it becomes old news. You know what I'm saying? So I'm hoping there's still good competition within the space before all of this becomes a problem. Halo is going to be the big dog, but there should be others as well. I should also mention, before we move on to the next topic at hand, I also played Metroid Dread for my Nintendo fans out there. I don't have footage of it because Nintendo, as usual, is full of absolute something I shouldn't say on a Saturday morning. Good luck trying to record their footage. I had to I can do it, but it was just such a pain in the ass that by the time I figured it out, I was just like, I'm done. I'm not doing this. I had to record it through my PC with a weird little capture card thing because, Switch doesn't really let you record as easily. And I personally don't like using external capture cards when my game consoles and my PC can internally record. Why should I pay the extra $200-$300 for something that is redundant? But Nintendo tells me that it's not redundant. And I'm saying, screw you, Nintendo. Anyway, game is great though. Lots of headaches with it. I played it, just you keep banging your head against the wall. It's unusually difficult, but I do like the aesthetic. It's like old school difficult, to the point where you just at some point you gotta you can't rage quit or throw your controller because your controller is the Switch, so you might as well just throw the whole thing. But yes, I was playing it. I thought it was fun. I may go back to it, but it's a little frustrating from time to time. So I've just been kind of playing it in short spurts, and I play with my kids because it's the Switch, and they go, "Oh, Daddy, you want to play?" And I'm just like, "No, my daughter, I must step away for a moment and go yell in a corner without you seeing me." But yes, that's what's been happening with me. I may figure it out and have some footage for us to show next week. But if you haven't played it, it's interesting. It's fun. I literally had to dust off my Switch to play it, but so far it's been worth it.
I tend to stay away from trying to show anything Nintendo on the channel because they demonetize.
Yeah, I hear they're very hard-handed with their stuff. Right?
Horrific.
Okay.
It's the only
so maybe that's another reason why I won't do it.
Yeah. Only reason I don't put Nintendo stuff on the channel, because otherwise I would. Like, even when I'm speaking about Nintendo, I can't put footage up because it would immediately get demonetized and all copyright striked. Yeah.
Absolutely ridiculous. Well, I'm playing it. Is it good? Sure it is. Should you play it? Probably. Will I show content? Probably not, because Nintendo does not want us to help promote their stuff. So there you go. We'll move swiftly along, but as it goes, I'll let you know. And I will be self-serving. This is my wife in the chat. She's also Dutch, and she hears there's a Dutch person on stream, so she had to come and represent. I love you, baby. It's all good. So let us move swiftly along to some of the topics of the week that we've been discussing. This week, it tends to happen that during the weeks people have a lot of blah blah blah. There's spaces and Twitter and by all this conversation, right? And this week had a few of them as well. I just picked out a few of them. If you guys think of others that I didn't, please go ahead and pick them out, and we can discuss them real quick before we get to the quote unquote main topic of discussion today. I will say the first thing I want to bring up is that idea of perfect mode, perfect for PS5 mode. Have you heard of this? A quick synopsis. It seems, and for the record, I think PlayStation should have done this from day one, but that's neither here nor there. Let's get to it. They have, obviously, Sony has a lot of different kinds of hardware, TVs being one of them, sound bars, all the stuff you need for the living room. And now it looks like, and check the show notes if you want sources to these links. I will provide those there. It looks like they're now leveraging their hardware to then go, oh, so since you want to buy a PS5, this Sony TV is quote unquote perfect for PlayStation. They've added features in there, adding VRR in there. They're adding auto HDR. Sound familiar, doesn't it? Auto HDR. A few other things here and there to entice people to buy that hardware because it works best with PlayStation, right? Perfect for PlayStation. They're doing the same thing on their sound bars as well. What do you guys think about this whole turn of events? I'll start with you, Patrick. What do you think is a good idea, bad idea? What do you think of it?
Yeah, I don't know. Like it's the consumer. Like he can decide what to do. Like do you want to buy a new TV again for that amount of money? I don't know. Can people afford it? Because how much will it be? That's also the question. Because if you buy a PlayStation 5, it costs maybe 600 euros. Buy a new TV. And the TVs that are new now are more than 1,000 euros. So,
indeed. And by the way,
really
we're going to get into how much it costs where you live. That's the main topic of conversation. We'll get back there, but it's good that you bring it up right now. Please continue.
Yeah. So, like I said, like is it a good idea? I don't know. I'm happy with what I have. And if I can play games, that's the most important thing about it. And, I don't really look at those kind of things with the late Odyssey and that kind of things, and that doesn't matter for me.
Grass and the
exactly.
the FPS and all of the counts and all that. That's not really where you look.
No. Like the most important thing is that I can play games, I can play with my friends, and that's it. I don't pay attention to like all the kind of specs on the TV. It's cool you have 4K and that kind of stuff. And that's good for me, man. So I don't know. Is it good? Is it bad? I'm between it.
It's just a bit to you. It's just a business decision. It is what it is. They're doing what they're doing. Is that the case?
Yeah.
Okay, I can see that. That's a pretty good opinion of it. I thought so. I had an old Sony Bravia from like way back in the day, and and this was during the PlayStation 4 time. And when it came, before anybody knew anything, it literally showed up at my door, brand new, with a PlayStation Now icon on it. So you could play PlayStation Now in PS4 before even the PS4 Pro. You could like click onto it, sign up with the DualShock 4, and like play streamed games a la Game Pass way back then. And then they turned it off for some reason. I thought it was very strange. And now we're starting to see this stuff. Dutch, what's your opinion on it? How do you feel about the whole perfect for PlayStation logo? And it doesn't look like it doesn't look like they're expanding into third party like other companies doing it. It's all so far their specific branding, and we also hear now they have a SSD. They created their own SSD under a sub company. A third, but it's technically theirs, but it's not really Sony branded. What do you think of all of this? But I feel like there's something about to happen, but they're talking about it on the edges before they get to the center of it. What do you think?
Yeah, it's like Apple. It's to put it perfectly, it's like Apple. Apple will try and keep you into one ecosystem, and I think Sony are trying to do that. They're going to trying to force your hand to have one ecosystem. Yes, you can use other things, but ours is going to play best. And I think they're trying to engineer their consumers to think like that. The features specifically that they can do on this auto HDR and auto low latency, odd features that other TVs can't do. By the looks of things, they're just choosing to not let those third parties use them particular features at this point. They're just saying, right, okay, well, these features are only going to be available on the Sony Bravia TVs and certain Sony models.
Okay.
That's why it makes it best to play your PlayStation on a Sony TV.
Yeah.
So it is both. It's anti-consumer in one way because, of course, you're limiting someone's choice. If someone wants to get the best out of their PlayStation, then they have to purchase a Sony TV if they want the best out of their PlayStation. If, like a normal casual person, they don't really care, they just want to play PlayStation and want to play any game that comes out for PlayStation, then they don't really care too much about what it looks or how it plays. They just like PlayStation, then they'll just buy a PlayStation, buy a TV. I think the vast majority of people, specifically the fact that this article was just kind of swiftly put out. It wasn't no big deal about it. It was just
they just kind of they just kind of put it out there. Yeah,
just slid it out. Yeah, just don't make a big fuss. They kind of just said it. I don't think anybody will know about it anyway. Which means that people won't be educated on the subject. They won't know. I mean, but that works both negatively and positively for Sony because they don't know that to get the best of PlayStation, you buy a Sony TV. Of course, we've seen months back that they had these. We see these bundles coming up when they were trying to ship out the PlayStation near launch. They were bundling the PlayStation 5 with the brand new Sony TVs. And we were thinking, well, that is a really expensive bundle. That is like a mega expensive bundle.
Indeed, yes.
But now we know why. Because, of course, they kind of engineering them to work specifically or work much better on a Sony TV compared to competing models. I
have a question. And maybe it's my lack of knowledge or I thought we were still missing a bit of data here. You know, I know that the console itself is incapable of doing some of these features, right? And just so folks are aware, some of the features we're talking about, auto HDR, like Xbox does now, it tone maps the game, whichever game you're on, and tries to emulate HDR settings on games that normally don't have it, right? I don't know how well this will work because even on Xbox's side, what they end up doing is they calibrate it per game because some games benefit from that auto HDR, some games don't. If it's a feature that's just built into TV, it may very well just blow things out and there's no nuance there. That's neither here nor there, but that's how Xbox is currently handling it. And they're handling it on the console level, right? And then you have VRR, which is variable refresh rate, right? Which is a TV feature that matches the frame rate of the current content that's on your screen. So your frame rate drops with the console game content you're playing, and because of that, it doesn't feel bad when you're playing it, right? It matches the frame rate. So if it's a little less than 60 or a little less than 120 or whatever, it compensates, and that's how you feel. It still stays smooth. That's also a feature that's console specific, not necessarily just to the TV. Both the console and the television must support this feature, right? And then we have auto low latency mode, which brings your latency of the TV display to 1 millisecond or less, so that it's really, really fast. These are all features that PC gamers are very well versed in. My question is, people went to the whole, hey, it's exclusive content for PlayStation, right? For the Bravia line. I thought, and this is me not knowing, I don't fully understand, and please correct me if I'm mistaken, Dutch. I thought that they were adding these features to their TVs, but as an option to bring their TV standards up, so that the LG line isn't the only game in town, because that's the only game in town right now. Anybody that wants to buy anything next gen TV for your console, it's LG, right? This seems like they're just trying to say, hey, our TVs are good as well. They have these features as well. You should buy them if you're a PlayStation lover because they will work with those things. But they have not added those features to the console side yet. Right? Exactly. Folks are saying this is exclusive. I don't necessarily see it being exclusive per se. It just seems more like they're getting their TVs ready. So then one day you'll see an update, a firmware update that then adds VRR and adds all those things that then lets the PS5 also talk to the consoles. Now, if that's the case, if you happen to have an LG TV, it would still use VRR, unless that's where I need correcting. Are we saying that when those features are brought to the PS5, it'll check to see if you have a Bravia before you can use those features? Because that's where I'm not sure on. Because if that's
I
the
think
case, I'm right there with you. Anti-consumer ridiculousness, you know.
VRR won't be. Again, that's not on PlayStation yet, though.
Yeah, not yet. Yeah, that's
which
right.
is weird.
That's right.
So I think Sony are saying that it's going to be the first TV that's going to be capable of running VRR when your PlayStation's connected to it.
Okay. So you're saying when it is enabled, is enabled on the console, only Bravia TVs can make use of it.
I think at first, yeah. I think at first.
But
they're not saying that they're not saying VRR is going to be exclusive permanently. They are saying this auto HDR feature is going to be, though. But this is my problem with auto HDR when it's just, and as you mentioned previously, on the TV itself and not on the console. When auto HDR is just on the TV, that means that HDR will kick in depending on the content type, not individual content types. So we're talking about overall genre. So they're saying auto HDR will decide whether or not you're playing games, watching a film, or anything in between. It won't, however, then, like Xbox does on auto HDR, each individual title that has that is then fine-tuned depending on whether or not it is required or whether or not it makes a difference.
Yeah,
so we've seen
in some games it blows it out. Some games it's terrible. Like what Slow-Mo was saying here, and he's always on here bringing the facts. Appreciate you, man. Some of them don't work well in dynamic day-night cycles, right? And Xbox knows this. That's why some games just don't feature that auto HDR, even though it's a thing that could be usable. They just don't turn it on because it looks like they find that it makes the visuals worse. Right. So how do you calibrate for that when it's just a feature on the TV? Do you have to go in and turn it off and turn it back on? Yeah. You know, that's the stuff that weirds me out.
It won't work. It won't work as well as they expect, because just saying, we do auto H, it's basically like up-resing on a TV. Like you can up-res an image from 1080 to 4K like all 4K TVs do. They up-res from 1080 to 4K. Does that make the image on screen 4K though? No, it doesn't. No, the game doesn't miraculously then become 4K. It's still a 1080p image. It's just up-resed. So when we're talking about Xbox doing internal resolution scaling, they're actually changing that internally, so the game itself is then up-resed to 4K, as opposed to just a 1080p image on the screen getting up-resed by the TV itself.
Which let's be honest, I don't care which TV you have, I don't care how much you paid for it, that processor in that TV is shit. There's no way it's going to do rendering of 4K like as accurate and as good as the console itself will. That's just not possible.
So I think personally they should have, and this is just going slightly aside from topic, but Sony/PlayStation needed to focus more on the features in the console before they started making the features on the TV. TV features are great and all, but if the thing that plugs into the TV itself isn't capable of doing it, what's the point?
Exactly.
Exactly.
Well, that's the thing that weirds me out. And that's why when people are talking about exclusivity, I'm like, let's be clear here. Are they saying, because right now, not all those features can only come from a TV, right? If you have VRR capable on your television, but the VRR is not capable, there's no VRR setting on the console, you can't use it. You just can't. Like right now, I have an LG CX. I love it. My 65-inch CX. It's great. If I'm playing a PS5 game on that same TV, I don't get the benefits of playing it on the Xbox. Same TV, two different consoles. VRR must be enabled on the console as well as the television. So them enabling it on the on the TV, that's great. But on the console, unless people are saying, and this is where I'm still questioning, unless folks are saying, hey, PlayStation has come out and say when we enable VRR, it will be only compatible with Bravia TVs, which, let's be clear, I wouldn't put it past them. Like I said, I used to be a Bravia owner, right? And in my world of owning a Bravia, if you want to use, there's certain features called HDMI system link. HDMI link is what they call it. Basically, it's CEC that lets you control things through the HDMI port. Everyone else uses a normal standard, right? Bravia's also use that normal standard, but they have their special proprietary Sony version of it. So if you have that, then and you have a Sony soundbar, all of a sudden it works better than if you didn't, right? So the idea that they'll make the feature only really useful on their hardware is not impossible. I just think if they did that, that would be really nuts, because a lot of people have already like invested in the next gen with their TVs and this and that. And now you're going to tell me that I need to buy a Sony one before it works? That would be nuts, man. That would be absolutely crazy. I can't imagine that. That would be absolutely crazy. Anyway, all right. So I honestly think that with all of this, the jury is kind of still out, right?
Yeah.
We don't know if it's for real, for real. It seems a little shady, but I kind of want to wait and see what really goes down before I make that determination, right? We'll talk about it and do a lot of the consternation on the internet as if it's console war, blah, 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 when we all know that these guys are money men and what they want is money. They see the money. If you make it, how can we make it? If we make more money than you do, then you're jealous of us. If they make more money than us, then we look into trying to make that same level of money, if not more, right? Here, and there's a video of it, and you can go find it on the internet. We have Jim Ryan basically saying, hey, we sell our games at 120 million consumers. They sell about 10, 20 million copies of their games, and they find it frustrating. They wish that hundreds of millions of players were able to find their games and play it. And he finds the console model frustrating. Now, that sounds very suspicious, and those that have been watching this show for a while, and those who keep their ear to the Twitter streets will know why a smirk comes on people's face when they hear this comment. But I'll go to you first, PatJeuh. What do you think about his comments? I don't know how well versed in the back and forth discourse you are when it comes to all this. Oh, people want a PlayStation. Oh, I probably want an Xbox. What's better? All that ridiculousness. What is your opinion on this? He seems to be saying, I see Xbox going to start making a lot of money. I think we want to make that money too. What do you think?
Well, I understand that he wants that, like also like earn more money from the PlayStation, of course. But what you now see is that I also know a lot of people that went from PlayStation to Xbox, all do because of the Game Pass.
In Nederland?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, seriously.
That is surprising to me. I know so many of my friends who are like, Xbox betrayed us. Screw it. We're all PlayStation in Nederland.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And like I said, I see a lot of people also on social media that went from PlayStation to Xbox, all do because of the Game Pass, because you have so many games that you can play, And so I did see a little bit of this interview that he gave, that Jim Ryan gave. And I understand that it's pretty frustrating for him, that probably he sees now that for me, he's some kind of losing things. I don't know if I'm saying it correct, but it's pretty hard for them to keep up with the competition with Xbox.
Clearly. But it's funny, right? Yeah. It's funny, right? It's like they make all the monies. All the money belongs to them. Now it's a quick aside. We found out this week that Apple makes more money than Sony, Microsoft, and Nintendo combined just on games, just on that stuff you play on your phone. They make more money than all of them, but that's neither here nor there. In the PlayStation versus Xbox land, Sony is like king, but they seem to be worried every time they open their mouths, man. What do you think? Seriously, do you think they have cause for concern here?
Yeah, I do. I think so.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You think that they should change the way they do things, and the way they're doing things now will lead to failure? Because it looks like they're succeeding, right? They have been succeeding for a long time.
Yeah. Also, like if there's one thing that they really need to do is like also focus on the community, because that's probably one of the things that I think that is missing at PlayStation.
Multiplayer, community focused, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, that kind of stuff.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, that is an interesting take on it. I do see, like, so rather than, hey, we need more money, maybe we change up the flow and possibly put more investment dollars into something that the more of the community would like, rather than, hey, we just want more money from these people. I understand. Yeah, what about you, Dutch? Like, this whole thing is very interesting. It's almost like the man has not been paying attention to the conversation that's been happening about it within his community, or maybe he has and decided to throw them a bone and say, "Hey, wink, wink, nudge, nudge. We're heading in that direction." What do you think?
Like you said at the beginning, he's a businessman at the end of the day, and he's wanting to go wherever business is going to be good. For PlayStation, business is going to be good where the most amount of people can view and play their content. And this is where, even though he didn't inadvertently, and he wouldn't directly kind of match his particular new philosophy on another competing brand, but this is what Xbox and Phil Spencer have been saying for the last few years. We want the most amount of people to be able to play our content as possible. So that means that, of course, other than just on Xbox, we also want people to be able to play on mobile and on PC, because that opens up to a whole new breadth of gamer. And it also means, of course, at the end of the day, you're going to be able to spend on more platforms. Not only that, but of course, as Pat mentioned with regard to community, you do need to start investing, and this is why Apple are at the top of the tree in terms of earnings, because it's all mobile apps that are filled with microtransactions and games as a service and blah, blah, blah.
I actually think they switched up their flow and they were first to have a game service. I forget the iOS arcade. And I mean, there are a few really big gems in there. Enter the Gungeon. Like they had their exclusive Exit the Gungeon, which was the follow-up story to the first game, which was big on Switch, on Xbox, on PlayStation. It was exclusive on iOS for many years, for a while. There have been a few really like indie AAA, if you will, that have been only on the arcade for a long time, and you pay your subscription and you just like jump in and download whatever games you want. It's quite interesting what's going on there, and it looks like they're making a ton of money doing it. Yeah.
And they've got a mass market as well, though, because they've got God knows how many phones, and of course we know Apple's great business practices where they intentionally slow down your phone when the next phone comes out.
Oh, bro, I'm there now. I'm there right now, and I'm just like, screw you, Apple. What am I going to do? Yeah. Well, my company only wants to work with Apple. Otherwise, I don't get my work email, so I'm kind of stuck. I'm just like, what am I going to do? I want a nice Android phone, but they won't let me get one. Anyway, I digress. Continue, sir.
So yeah, it's just the way that they're trying to do things. Of course, back to the Sony topic. Specifically, Sony see what Microsoft are doing from a business standpoint. This isn't just a consumer standpoint. Of course, it's going to benefit the consumer no end because more people get to play their games. PC players are absolutely over the moon because they get to play these games in the best versions that they can be.
Indeed, indeed.
Not only do they are they forced to just get Microsoft Store versions of these games, they can go to Steam or Epic Store, wherever they want to download them and download these games that Microsoft produce. Of course, if you want the full Game Pass PC to get all the third-party stuff as well, then you can download the PC app for Game Pass. And get all the third-party stuff as well to play on your PC. And Sony see that, of course they do. And it's only going to be a matter of time until they start doing the day-and-date stuff. But it makes business sense. I mean, people might disagree with that particular topic, but at the end of the day, sales aren't there to protect your feelings. This isn't about protecting someone's feelings because you don't want something to go somewhere. This is, at the end of the day, it's a business. People need to remember it is a business. Jim Ryan is brought there solely to increase the operational capabilities. He is the businessman,
that's for sure. Yeah.
The operational capabilities of Sony. So on the PlayStation aspect, he's going to put that content where it's going to make the most money possible. He's going to get the most eyes on it, and he encapsulated it perfectly. 10 to 20 million is great for a console, but we don't just want 10 to 20 million people playing the game. We want hundreds of millions of people playing the game. And to do that, you're going to have to get outside of the console. You're not going to get the same amount of, and this is kind of true to form. If Xbox had not have done day and date, those games specifically wouldn't have had the same impact thereafter. I think if for instance, you launch Halo Infinite now and you don't launch Halo Infinite till 6 years' time on the PC, it's going to have an impact, but it's nowhere near going to have the same impact as if it was launched alongside its current other model. Because you're going to be missing out on features straight away. And I think PlayStation are trying to figure out immediately how you're going to kind of combat that, not do these kind of semi-ports. They're still figuring...
and not to cut you off, I will let you continue. I will add more to your argument by switching up my video and showing what I've been recently playing again, which is Avengers. Which has been brought back to the Xbox through Game Pass, and it's given me another chance to bite at the apple. I played the whole campaign on PlayStation This is the Xbox replaying of it. Please continue. They are benefiting from Game Pass being added. We're going to hear different conversations about this game, specifically about that Game Pass point you just made. Please continue.
Yeah, so again, specifically for these services, and they'll probably look into that type of thing as well a little bit more in depth as the generation progresses. I don't believe Sony will overlook that. I think PlayStation Now will have a revamp at some point over the course of this generation to start including things. I don't think they'll dive neck deep in day and date immediately for first-party titles, but I can see them releasing the first-party titles maybe 3 to 6 months down the line, then put them on PlayStation Now. It's shown that it doesn't make a negative difference to sales for Xbox or third parties. If anything, it boosts third-party sales, specifically when it comes to the kind of exits from the service. Obviously, 6 to 12 months after they've been added. When they exit the service, they get a price, not a price cut, but they get a discount before they leave. So if you want to keep that game, you get like a 20% discount or whatever it is. So you save money on it anyways. If you want to keep the game, if you're really enjoying it, you can still buy it.
Yep.
And you can still buy it even with it.
If you're not,
it.
That's right. Yes, exactly. 100%. Yep.
But they're going to see the main thing for them. Go on.
No, just pointing out the community. A quick comment saying that he's playing that stuff. Sean is also playing Avengers, and it's a bit of a slog. I don't disagree with you, Sean. I will say that I love the campaign in spite of the game. I wish they would have a campaign section and then a multiplayer section, but they try to mix it together, so you have to literally dig through the multiplayer to get to the good stuff, and that's annoying. I completely agree. Please continue what you were saying, Dutch.
Yeah, but in terms of business, the way the business is going and the way business is going to need to evolve to keep up with competition, because they're going to have to do their own spin on things. They're going to have to make decisions that are going to differentiate them from the competition, but at the same time also offer a similar competing service. Anybody who thinks differently, obviously, unfortunately, you need to, which is why Apple and Samsung go head to head with the mobile platform year on year. They have to look at each other, what each other's doing, and then think, right, we need to do something similar, but what can we do to make our thing stand out from the other? PlayStation are going to have to do that. Jim Ryan knows this, of course he does, which is why he's making these comments. He's seeing how Xbox are aiming for not just the Xbox platform. I think we even seen, was it Konami that mentioned that they're going to be focusing primarily on PC first?
No, I think that's Capcom.
Capcom's
focusing. Yes. Which is also very interesting. It's very interesting, you know.
But they essentially, what both of these companies are saying is, we want to get our games in the hands of the most people as possible to make the most money. And where are we going to go with that?
PC games are way more lucrative, more users than any console at all. Yeah, you're absolutely right. Yep. So
first, again, and the only other edge that Microsoft have here is that they've got a specific mobile edge market here with cloud. And I've even seen posts now, because it has eventually released in Japan. And these Japanese players are saying, and they're all clicking onto it. They're like, oh, so I don't need the hardware to play the Xbox games now. And they're like, no, you can just play on cloud. And they're like, so what's the caveat? And it's just a good enough internet connection.
Yeah. Like, caveat is, do you have your monthly subscription and is your internet decent? There you go. That's it.
Yeah. And if you're playing on PC specifically, the browser version is phenomenal.
It's pretty damn decent. Yeah, I've been playing it here on the console. I have Avengers locally downloaded, and I've played it also from the browser on the same PC. And yes, you can definitely tell the difference, but it's like Netflix. You know, if you're watching The Matrix on Netflix and you watch it on Blu-ray, you'll see a stark difference. But you don't care. You're on Netflix because you just need convenience. You don't need to whip out the Blu-ray player and find the disc, all that. You just hit play and you're playing, right? You know, and this will get to that level too, I think. Please.
And another thing as well, aside from that, and people have to, because of course, gaming is meant to be accessible, or at least originally was meant to be accessible by the most amount of people possible, regardless of where their monetary situation lies, whether or not they can afford to. Because not everyone's going to be able to afford every generation to pick up £500-600-700 items. It's not feasible, and you can't do it all in one. So, of course, they started with this Xbox kind of subscription thing where you can get an Xbox on a monthly payment plan. Of course, that's great for people with good credit histories. But then, of course, you've got Game Pass. And with the evolution of Game Pass and xCloud, it also means now that you don't have to buy a box, which brings more people into the fold that couldn't technically afford to buy a console or are stuck on previous gen consoles because they can't afford to upgrade. So these people stuck with Xbox Ones that really want to play the series games, and they're like, oh, I know I'm never going to be able to afford that for at least another 4 to 5 years. Well, you're not going to get left behind. You're going to be able to play these games, and whenever you can monetarily afford to upgrade in the future, if you still want to at that point, then you're going to be able to. But up until then, you've got an option to play these games.
You know, it's funny you say that. Like, I've known this was a thing they were going to do for a long time. Like, Phil Spencer in his interviews and other places has not made a secret that that's where they want to go. But the first time I played Flight Simulator on my old school VHS thick old box of OG Xbox One, it was a mind-blowing experience. It really was. And the second time I played Flight Sim on my OG Xbox. When I say OG, I'm talking about the first one. I have a hacked version. I have a browser running on it. I ran the browser, ran Xbox.com. Guess who's playing the latest and greatest Series X games with ray tracing and all that on the OG of OG Xbox? Still possible. It's freaking amazing. It really is. It blew my mind. This is what I do. I'm the tech guy. I love making one thing do another thing. And just the fact that you can use right now, you can buy a Series S, and it is literally like the ultimate console. Ultimate console. Because of that browser update, you can emulate older games in the browser. You can play Nintendo, Super Nintendo, PlayStation, like all the old school stuff through the browser. You can do that. You can play Steam games through GeForce Now. You can play Stadia games, like all of them, no matter what the hell you want to play, Dreamcast, all this, whatever the hell you want to play. If you want to figure it out, that one console can do it all. That's amazing to me. And the fact that they let you do that without having to hack it. I've done a lot of hacking in my day to make, media players and stuff work on old consoles. Now they're just going, have at it. Steam Deck is coming. We'll beat them to the punch. Whatever you want to do, just go ahead and do it. It's absolutely crazy, And I don't think a lot of people have recognized that. And maybe it's because they're not so knee deep into the cool techie stuff. But I don't see a lot of people have recognized that this is a new world order. This is something that's never happened before. Most consoles are locked the hell down. You have to spend years of your life trying to figure out how to circumnavigate, the security protocols they put in. And this is also locked down. But they're giving you everything you want, so you don't have to unlock it to get what you want out of it.
Exactly.
I just find it's just the tech of it is so freaking weird and interesting.
And the thing about is the first party stuff as well that goes onto these services is the fact that, again, regardless of what generation you are, you can now play the games across any generation, even if they are series exclusives. Yes, it's going to be the 1080p 60 version. However, you're not going to be held out of content. You're not going to be held out of anything like that. If there's a season pass, you can still purchase it and still play it. You can literally just do anything.
Yeah, I'm not a member of Anonymous. Stop that. Continue. This guy.
It's essentially just not locking anybody out of anything.
Yeah.
And again, and as Phil Spencer has stipulated, of course, at the end of the day, the best places to play these games are going to be Series X and PC, natively. It's never going to be different. This is just an option. Of course, xCloud is going to be 1080p 60. We're going to keep it at that. Of course, we saw other platforms.
Do we think that upgrade that may at some point increase?
I think the only viability on increasing that is when more of the world's networks get better. Of course, it's all well and good. Myself and I think you both have gigabit Ethernet and gigabit fiber, but the vast majority, and I think Pat's got gigabit as well. You've got 1 gig, haven't you? Gig fiber.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, the vast majority, I think the average speed in the UK is still sitting at around 20 meg. So yes, you could put an option for 4K in there, but right now, is it essential? No. I think when the world's networks start to alleviate and when the world's networks start to catch up and make things more commonplace, where people have got at least like 200 meg connections, minimum average
Yeah.
across the board.
And America stops faking whenever they say 5G to the point where people are like, we have 5G now. No, you don't. Stop it. You don't have 5G. Cut it out. Continue.
Yeah, no, you are correct. You are correct. Like five actual 5G networks are like 500, 600, 700 meg plus connections.
Yeah, amazing connections. You have to literally stand in one place, hold your foot in the air, and put your phone up like this for a while before it works. Right now, we're not there yet. Just because your AT&T and your T-Mobiles and all your companies are throwing fake 5G symbols at you doesn't mean we're there. Stop it. Stop the BS marketing. But yes, I completely agree with you. Now, it's good that you bring this up because this transitions us to the next story rather seamlessly, which is that The Verge has reported, and I think those of us that have been playing it for a while could have told you guys this, but it's been confirmed now that all of the when you connect to the xCloud servers, all of the consoles that you're playing in the cloud are Series X consoles. You can definitely tell that difference. I could, when I first, for a while there, like I've been lucky enough, I like beta stuff. I like beta testing things. I always have. So like, that's why I keep my old consoles. So even my old Xbox One, I still have them. All the other consoles, I keep them around so I can play with it and tinker with it and stuff. So I've been part of the beta program on Xbox for a while. When they first announced this whole, xCloud thing, I was lucky enough to get in, and I've kind of slowly but surely watched as they transition. There in the beginning, there were some games you just cannot play on xCloud. You just can't do it. You have to play it a certain way. Otherwise, it's like the latency is too much. You just can't play it. You will always be like behind the 8 ball. You always feel like something's wrong. That has definitely changed now, and I hear a lot of folks in the gaming community, people who I respect, talking about how it's not ready for prime time. I think I heard Jez recently changed his mind on it. Jez Corden. I think I heard him on the last Xbox 2 saying that he's updated his thoughts on it. Anyone that hasn't played it recently, and by recently I mean in the last 5-6 months, go ahead and try it again. Because there is a vast difference. It really is. You can tell the speed of it. It loads up real quick. And now they're saying confirmed that when you're playing it, you're literally, they have the system on chips, which are Xbox Series consoles, the Series X consoles. And those are the consoles that are literally in the Blade chassis. And that's what you're playing off of. So you're basically playing a Series X in the cloud. And it definitely shows some upgrades there. Have you guys gotten a chance? PatJeuh, I think I'll start with you. I know the Nederland has Game Pass on cloud right now, right? It was one of the first to get it. I know that not everywhere did, but Nederland was able to get it. Have you been playing with it? Do you like it? Is it one of those things that you use, or it's not really your thing? How do you feel?
I've used it in the beginning. So when it came out,
when it wasn't that
good. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, when it wasn't that good, because you could see like the lag and it didn't run pretty good. But after the last time that I played it's a pretty long time ago, to be honest. So I need to check it out right now, how it works, how it runs and stuff. But I've seen also things that it's much better than it was before. So for now, I cannot say if it's better or stuff, because I didn't try it out yet.
You haven't tried it out yet.
But
okay.
So I definitely gonna do it. But
in Nederland now, you guys like, so in the hypothetical world where you use it, it's like Netflix, gebruikbaar door iedereen, everybody can just grab it whenever they want, right? In that world, do you see like ISPs, your phone companies supporting it? Because that's a lot of bandwidth being used at all times. Like, that is a lot. Netflix is something, but this is a whole lot more. This is the equivalence of many Netflix movies per one session. Do you see a world where everybody can just grab their phone and just keep it moving, or is the ISPs in the phone companies in Nederland still pushing back on it a little bit? How's that working out in where you live?
To be honest, I don't know about that. Huh? Like, because you don't hear a lot about it. So
they need to do a lot more in that department, I suspect.
Yeah, for sure.
Letting people know, hey, this is something you can do now, kind of thing, right?
Yeah, because it's not like really they don't say a lot of things about that. So
not advertised
it's
as much. I
no,
expected that by now you go to MediaMarkt, you want to buy a new TV, it comes with a Game Pass subscription, 6 months, something like that, right? It should, like Samsung TVs, LG TVs, they should come pre-bundled with maybe an Xbox controller and 6 months Game Pass. That will automatically get a bunch of gamers in. I'm surprised it's not like that. So back in the day when I lived in Holland, because they don't do as many shady stuff as they do in America as far as getting you to buy their stuff, they have to compete in different places. So this was a long time ago, but you'd go and get a new phone subscription and they'll offer you a free TV, or they'll offer you the new device of some cool thing just so you buy from them versus somebody else, you know. Whereas on at that time in America, they were like, yeah, you can't unlock your phone. Why? Because we said so. I bought it. Too bad. In Nederland, you can unlock whatever the hell you want, and they have to compete, giving you more stuff, more features, more benefits. Right. So I was always about that. So I'm surprised they haven't really done that. I think that's probably more Microsoft needing to spend more time out there, you know, delivering the good word as it is. Right. Dutch, what do you think? What do you think of this whole, you know, now they're at 100, like way more games than they advertise. They always say 100 plus games. It's averaging about 400 or 500 games, depending on when you look.
Yeah.
And now they have Series X's in the cloud. Anytime you play it, if you happen to be in a good network connection area, it is decent and it plays great. You know, if you can play, what's that game that everybody loves so much? If you can play Hades, which is like the most demanding from a latency perspective, if you can play that on the cloud with a touchscreen, they've made it, in my opinion. What do you think?
So yeah, I've had a chance to play it on mobile and I haven't tried it on console yet, even though I've got that Flighten. I have tried it on PC on the browser, both in a kind of work environment on a lunch break once, just to see what it was like, to see how a work network handled it versus just a normal network. And to be honest, I was surprised at how well it works on browser. Really, really strong. This was just after I think they were pretty much just mopping it up on getting Series X's all into formation. I think it was only like, all right, we're going to be done in the next 2 weeks. So it's pretty much all Series X at that point. But yeah, it's 100%. It's a notable difference from when it first launched. In terms of the games on Game Pass, etc., they can only legally say 100 because each nation.
So much. Yeah.
Well, no, it's each nation.
Oh yeah, has different
all
games.
Have the same number.
Interesting.
Yeah.
There we go. That's cool. Yes. Okay.
So
you're saying different regions may have different games, but they'll all at least have 100. That's why they keep saying at least 100.
Yeah. So of course,
that's
nation,
a good explanation.
Yeah. Each nation, because each nation does differ depending on what they have. Obviously, only certain nations might miss out on 1 or 2 games here and there, or there's certain kind of old titles that aren't on the service for certain nations. They can only legally say 100, but of course it's around about the 500 mark now across the board, and the vast majority of nations do have anywhere between 300 and 500 games on their service. But yes, a legal standpoint, they can only say 100 plus games.
100 officially. Oh, interesting. Yeah. No, see, I never thought of it that way, and you're absolutely right, because yes, I've heard them speak to the fact why certain regions don't have what others have and things like that because of certain legal ramifications and whatnot. That is a very good. I'd never thought of that. See, there you go. This is good stuff. That is a very good explanation of it. Yeah. But
and of course, certain nations as well for certain games have censoring, so some of them just don't put it in the first place.
Sure,
of course,
yes.
Like Germany, if people don't know, famously Germany with Wolfenstein, they wanted nothing to do with the Nazi symbols. They made them completely change the game, so it wasn't Nazi at all. Nazi wasn't even referenced in that game in Germany.
Now, every time you say that game, I have to remember Archie saying Wolfenstein. But okay, continue.
Wolfenstein, yes, Wolfenstein. Yeah.
No, I love that game. You're absolutely right. There's a specific thing. You know, wasn't there a law that said you couldn't even call your kid Adolf at some point in Germany? Like there was a thing like about that.
It's still completely against the law to deny the war crimes as well.
Sure. Yeah.
Famously, an old woman known as Nazi Grandma was sent to prison for denying the Holocaust.
Yeah, I do recall that story a long time ago. I do recall that story. Yes.
But there's because the problem they've got is this one particular section in Switzerland / Germany, on the borders of Switzerland and Germany, that is very much still old school Germany. It was where all the old SS troopers went to live at the end of the war. And they're very much in the same ilk as they ever used to be. So
yeah.
German laws proceeded.
Oh yeah, some things change, some things don't, and that's everywhere, I suspect. But no, this is a great place to actually transition to the topic at hand. And we've already started heading down that direction. So basically, the reason why I was so excited to bring these gentlemen on is because we and the title suggests it, gaming outside the bubble. We in the States, and I've been lucky enough to be in and outside the States. So it seems that we always seem to be in that bubble of it's about us, for us, within us. And there's a lot of gaming that happens outside the United States, right? It seems to me like the platform holders and the manufacturers seem to always focus on North America to the detriment of all their other fans. And there's a lot more people outside of North America than there is in North America compared to comparatively, since they're in the business of making money, right? So and I'll give the credit where it's due here. I've had some chats on the spaces, and I think Gerald Mack, one of his spaces, we had a conversation about it. A lot of folks seem to forget that these games are played in many different locations, and in those different locations, there are different ramifications. There are different pricing models, things that you get, things that you don't get. A quick aside, and we can get started off of this. A quick aside that blew my mind when Dutch told me when the B2B Halo flight thing happened. One of them was American time, right? You assume that they're all within the time frame of where the gamers live. No, they were officially American time. So if you happen to be the diest hard Halo fan, you're waking up at 3 a.m. to partake. That is some absolute horse shit, like ridiculous, and that just blew my mind. How the hell could they not think about that for other regions? I get why they were doing it. It's flighting, it's American, but then cut it off and say it's American focused, and maybe the next fighting will be European focused. And if you, America, are diehard, maybe you'll wake up at 3 a.m. to go to partake the second time, something like that. But it seems to consistently be that it's always America first. And even though all the money is elsewhere, it's all about what they need, what they're about, how they need to be satiated, while all the others get a little bit short shrift, I think, a little bit. And I think that's a little unfair and unnecessary. And I have the perfect gentleman here to discuss it with me. So I think I'll start with you, Dutch. What are your thoughts here? We've had many a conversation about pricing models, right?
Yeah.
Some people say, "Oh, I don't. Who cares? It's $10 more. Who cares?" Some people, $10 when you translate that to how it equates in their currency in their country, becomes prohibitively expensive. I've heard horror stories of Australia. Even Canada, which shouldn't be that bad, is worse than you'd think.
Oh, yeah.
So what do you think, Dutch? How are games priced in your neck of the woods? Where are you located exactly? How are games priced in your neck of the woods, and what do you think of this environment?
Yeah, so I'm in the UK as it stands, and it's £70 for a new PlayStation title, or £60 for a new Xbox title, of course. It gets more expensive when you start to see more of these third-party games, specifically the FIFA. I mean, FIFA's ridiculous this year. If anybody's looked at the price of FIFA, to get the cross-generation one, it's like £80, which is insane. To put that into perspective, if I'm doing quick calculations, I'll just use Google for this one. So £80 to dollars.
$108, maybe $109.
$108, yeah. Yeah, $109 there. If I'm doing that just on, it's $95.5 for your standard game on PlayStation here, which, as you can imagine, is just absolutely insane. It's not just a £10 increase. Like it's a £10 increase, but that to your equivalent is like a $20 increase.
Yeah. Oh yeah. 70
But-
pound game is $100, $95.28. It's $100, people. $100 per game. Per game. Per returnal.
Yeah, which is
crazy.
So why so the reason we were kind of booting off with it and saying, right, well, it's £70 is because then it becomes a decision that you really have to think on whether or not you want to buy that game now.
No impulse purchases. Yes.
Yeah. It's not a case of I'm just going to pick this up now, because it's now I'm looking at things and I'm like, do I really? And then I've had the chance to play the Battlefield beta there, and I thought, I'm not paying £70 for that as it stands. There is no chance. And I had it pre-ordered. I've cancelled it.
There you go.
It's you've got to think about it. When I think about how much and this is again being spoiled by options that I've been given by Microsoft this generation. But when you can convert that £70 into 7 months of Xbox Game Pass, I've got 7 months of new games that I don't have to purchase day one. Of course,
you don't have to pay $70. You have to pay $100 for each
per game. Yeah,
per insane, game. Man.
But then I'm looking at the fact that I'm still going to get purchases here and there, staple games that I will always purchase. So I'm still getting Forza Horizon Ultimate Edition because I always get it. It's one of them things, just one of them games that you go, yep, I need that.
Yeah, I have the $200 mammoth woolly crazy thing. I love Forza Horizon. So yeah, I mean, I'm speaking PlayStation. I love Horizon.
Yes,
that's one of the few box set crazy big old things I get. I'm like you. I usually don't get the specialty blah 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 because it's digital games, But no, please continue.
Yep. Yeah, with that, but at least I know with Forza Horizon's Ultimate Edition, I'm getting the 2 expansions on top of that, and I'm getting the car pass, and I'm getting VIP, which means XP's doubled, etc. So I'm getting things that are actually worthwhile for my progression throughout that game, but I'm also getting expansions. So paying $80 for that, or $120 US, whatever it is, that has a benefit, that has expansions. When I'm talking about just $70 for a base game and nothing else that comes with it, paying $100, that's insane. Like, that's a lot of money to pay for very little. And again, I mean, thankfully, I was going to say, thankfully, the movie, seeing the comment there, remember when we used to purchase movies? Thankfully, the cost of, we've got a place over here called View Cinemas, and the cost to actually go and watch a movie in View is far cheaper than a lot of the other places now.
Right.
Which is good. It's like £5 or something, £6, which is not much.
That is very cheap.
Cheap
in comparison.
Very cheap.
Very true. Very true.
But the vast majority, you go to like a Cineworld or Odeon or something like that, you're talking like £8, £9, £10, which is like, it's creeping up again. Then you get the extras.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But
Out
in terms
here,
of,
we used to have AMC Stubbs A-list, like AMC $5, $10 depending on which region you're in. Some places are $20, $30 a movie. And then AMC Stubbs A-list came up, and it basically became the Netflix of going to the movies. You pay your monthly subscription, I think it's $20 a month or whatever, and you get to watch 3 movies a week, right? And I used to subscribe to that until the T-virus came and ruined our lives. But, when you walk in there, not having to pay for a movie, and that's any movie, IMAX, Dolby, whatever you want, it's free. You walk in. Then you'll end up spending that same money, but you're buying popcorn, you're doing this, that's exactly what you're doing right now. Because you're not paying for the game, you are more likely to pay for that DLC, and that's a perfect plan. It's a good idea.
It works this as it stands. This is working more, especially if you're a multi-platform gamer. It's working in Sony's favor. Xbox having Game Pass, because Xbox have Game Pass. And this is another way to think about it as well, especially if you're multi-platform. You're more likely to spend a load more money buying brand new games on Sony PlayStation because you have Game Pass. Because you're saving money on Xbox. So over on Xbox, you're no longer paying that £60 to get their brand new title because you're paying £10 a month. So you're saving $50 on these new titles every time, which means if you have a PlayStation, you can go, oh, well, that new game on PlayStation come out. So I can afford to buy that and still get all of my Xbox games, and I don't have to worry about it. So PlayStation's inadvertently, if you're a multi-platform gamer,
benefiting from all this,
benefiting from this,
100%. Yep, 100%.
But yeah, it's in terms of it is utter value, and obviously people will see that, and this is why I want PlayStation to kind of step up on that side, and I think they will at some point. But But it's again about bringing more people in who might not necessarily be able to afford to get everything brand new day one. And I'm sorry, but when you're coming to Christmas time as a family, and if you've got 2-3 kids, and each one of them's either asking for a new platform or asking for a group of games, those PlayStation games start to rack up pretty quickly.
Oh
if they're
yeah,
asking
100%, 100%.
even for one, or you're talking 2 or 3 games each. That's 600-700, like all in all, with controllers, maybe it's a headset, maybe it's t-shirts.
It adds up
racks
quickly.
Up,
yes,
super quick.
Yep.
So you've got to think, like, when I've always spoke about the cost of things, it's not just coming from my perspective, but right, general consumer. If you're looking at what the general consumer is going to look at and see, is how can I get the most for the money that I'm paying? And if you're looking from the outside, Xbox is there specifically. They can go get a brand new Xbox for their kids at Christmas, get a 12-month subscription of Game Pass, which is like £80. And then that's it. You've got every game that comes to Xbox, plus all these unannounced games that are going to be dropping into the service for 12 months. Boom.
Facts.
You don't have to worry about that at Christmas. You can go on a couple of days beforehand, install loads of brand new games for them. As soon as they boot up that console on Christmas Day, poof, everything's ready to rock and roll. No discs.
Screw installing all those games for them. Just hand them a browser and say, "Have at it," because they can play. They can play.
Yeah, you can do that as well. Yeah,
you know, it's absolutely nuts. No, let's bring you in on the conversation, PatJeuh. Like, how are game costs in your neck of the woods these days? How are they? How is that working out? Do you feel like, and I'm not being specific to PlayStation or Xbox, just in general, do you feel like game makers and platform holders like listen and are paying attention to the Nederland audience and the people who play games there? What is your view of it? Are you end up paying a lot more? Like, I'm from the ilk where we used to spend guilders, right? And then it switched to euros. Yes. Ago. I remember the guilders, indeed, yes. And I remember all that craziness that happened when the gulden left and the euro showed up. So how is it now being a gamer living in Nederland?
Well, like for games, I think like we are at the same price as what Dutchess has. It's around 60, 70 euros. So if I'm correct, that should be like maybe $10 more than.
It's actually almost $20 more. Like in the States, 70 euros is close to, well, if it's about the same, then 80. 70 euros is almost $20. 80, 85, somewhere like that. It might be close to that. Yeah. Obviously, the pound is a little bit more lucrative than most is currently.
True. But to be honest, I haven't purchased any game for the last 2 years, I guess, because I have Game Pass. And if I buy a game, I do it on sale on the Xbox, because you have a lot of games that drops in prices. And that's when I have like something, I want to buy this game. I buy it when it's lower in price. I have a few physical games, but don't play them a lot at this moment because of Game Pass.
That Game Pass, man, it keeps coming up. It's one of those defining situations. It's actually interesting. So you play a lot of games. How long has Game Pass been available in Nederland? I forget. Has it been available for a long time now, or was it a later edition? Was it one of the first ones to get added? Do you recall? When did you sign up for Game Pass? Is a better question, I guess.
I think around 3 years ago or something.
Okay, so it's been out for a while in your neck of the woods. Okay, interesting.
Yeah, something 3 or 4 years. Yeah. So, and I was lucky enough to receive a few codes from friends. Mm-hmm. So I haven't purchased any Game Pass for the last 2 years.
and pro tip from Harmonica: if you follow Microsoft Reward daily challenges and get the streak going, you can easily get a free code for Game Pass every month. And I will add to that. If you game on Xbox, if you do all their Microsoft the challenges in Game Pass, play a game, get this achievement, this and that. All those points can be converted to monetary and literally help you pay for a game. Like, I have like an Xbox onesie that I bought, like a adult onesie, because I'm an idiot, and I paid $80 for it. I paid no money for it because I used my Xbox points, and I got all that for free. For anybody who doesn't know, and I think I should make a video on that. That thing's old, but nobody seems to know that you can literally game on Xbox and never pay a single dollar based on all that stuff that they give you. But really good tip, Harmonica. Please continue.
But even when you do spend on Xbox, you're getting points for it anyway.
You get points back for spending. Yes, very true. Very true.
Yeah,
very true.
Also, so if you're exactly like you said, for every dollar or something, or every €10, if I'm correct, you get a point or something. Or so yeah, that's that whole system that works really nice. Because one of the guys of the Midweek Mix-Up podcast, Head of Finn, he also bought the Xbox Series S from all the points he earned with the Game Pass challenges and stuff. So yeah, like I said, I haven't purchased any physical game for the last 2.5 years now. All do of game.
That's great.
Game Pass. Yeah, man.
That is awesome. See, that's how I wanted to go about it. I wanted to be like, hey, I got Game Pass now. I don't need to do that. Like, and I'm smart. I subscribe to all these beta programs and whatnot. So like, Ubisoft will throw me a few games after I test something. This company will throw me this. I still end up paying way more. I still end up buying way more games because now I don't need to buy that game I wanted to play. You know, what was it? And I'm going to show the footage for it a little bit later. Cyberpunk is now $10 on PlayStation. I'm like, it's only $10. Why not? Even though I have it on PC and I have it on Xbox, but now it's $10 on PlayStation. Why not? This is me. So I end up repurposing my money to other places. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
And those kind of things, like. Because I remember that Cyberpunk was like 70 euros, if I'm correct. And look at it now, it's 10 euros. So I think, okay, why not? It's only 10 euros. I can buy this.
And for the record, that game is brilliant and underrated because it was completely screwed at launch. When it eventually gets all that stuff cleaned up, it is whatever year it gets cleaned up, that'll be the game of the year that year because it's that good. It really is. You just have to have a very powerful ass PC to play it right now. And little by little, every day they're cleaning that up and making it better on consoles. So yes, you know, if you get a chance to play it, 100% you should. Don't let anybody fool you about, oh, it's a crappy game. No, it's not. It's really, really good. Salute to One Bad Mother in the chat. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for checking us out. Appreciate you being here. Gabe, you wanted to ask if the PlayStation Now version of is PlayStation Now a good service? Is it worth it? I will tell you that I hear, and I don't have as much experience with it as I do the Xbox because I tried PlayStation Now, like I said when we started this conversation, back when I had the Bravia, and back then it wasn't that great. I hear that these days they have done a lot to add more content to the service, and it's cheaper. So if you're like a big PlayStation gamer and you want that service, I hear that's a pretty damn good service as well. I might actually jump in and test it out now that it's been a bit more, it's been worked on a bit. My only sticking point on PlayStation in general is I want day and date. People buy the consoles for different reasons. I buy PlayStation for the exclusives. There's no reason for me to play it without the exclusive day and date content. Once you give me that, then I'll be there day one. Until then, Xbox is doing it for me so far with Game Pass and it being on PC and all of that. So, Gabo, if you happen to test it out, please come back. Let us know how you feel about it. You know, I would love to know more information about it. I really do want. I want, in my perfect world, there's Game Pass, right? And you have Microsoft and Bethesda and all the studios giving you day one titles. And there's PlayStation's equivalent of it. And they're also giving you day one titles. Charge me per month. I'll pay $20 a month for both of them together or whatever, right? And then I don't have to worry about, oh, yeah, this new game's coming out. No, the next Ghost of Tsushima should be there day one. The next this should be there. I'd be all about it. That'd be perfect for me. I would love that. So, okay, let us continue on this conversation. So pricing is kind of equal, but not necessarily the greatest, you know. I too tend to get a lot of good deals from time to time, but I don't see those deals internationally. Now, it could also be because the circles that I run in, right?
Especially
so I may not
things
see
like
those
competitions and stuff like that. Like they completely avoid Europe altogether half the time.
Yep. There we go. This is the conversation I wanted to speak on. And don't wait till I call on you, man. Speak on it. If you have something to say, jump in. Like, I feel like every time I hear about these competitions and I hear about these cool things that are happening, oh, there's going to be an Xbox fridge. Is it going to be available for European users? I don't know about that, and I feel like that's a little bit unfair. Am I wrong in thinking that Sony does it a little bit better than Microsoft does when it comes to that? They include more of their international audience than Microsoft does. Do you guys disagree? Whoever
don't disagree at all. I think Sony's always been a powerhouse in Europe when it comes to gaming consoles in general. Still
marketing
very much
and all that.
Yeah, 100% all over. I mean, obviously, Pat can speak on the marketing over in the Netherlands, but specifically in the UK, PlayStation marketing is everywhere. When a new game comes out, it's all over buses, it's all over tubes and railways. It's on signboards. It's all over every game shop's full of marketing material. Xbox isn't like that at all. You'd be very lucky to see any game advertised on the sides of buses or anything like that. It's extremely rare.
So I heard somebody say something, and I wasn't sure if it was you who said it or somebody else that said it, but is there an idea there? And this is just me throwing out an idea, thinking about this. Is there that thought, just like they do in the game space, where they have existing relationships and people say it's an exclusivity deal? It's not exclusivity. It's keep it off of Xbox because it's usually on PlayStation, maybe Switch, PC. Xbox is the only one that's left out. So it's not an exclusivity. It's keep it away from Xbox money, right? Yep. Is there a thought that is also applicable to the marketing space in the various countries? Like, PlayStation's been in UK for so long, working with those marketing folks for so long that now Microsoft wants to get in there, and PlayStation's like, nah, bro, we'll pay you more. Don't let them advertise. Is there a thought to that possibly, or is it just like Microsoft just doesn't care or has not gotten that level yet? Do you think that they're trying and it's failing or they're being stopped?
I don't think specifically in the UK that they have tried the advertising, or at least not well. I think that's definitely a massive thing that they need to pick up on, because I think given advertisement and more, I mean, on TV, you see quite a few Xbox adverts, and that's all well and good, but obviously the vast majority of a normal person's working day is out and about in the house, traveling to and from work, etc., and seeing things on the sides of buses, tubes, trains. Like, and obviously the capital in London is mostly people on tubes and on buses and things like that. And if you're not starting with the basics, which is physical advertisements on the sides of local bus or transport networks, then you're going to miss out on a huge captive audience, because people look at things naturally, just inadvertently always look at signs, even when they're bored waiting for the train and things like that. They'll be looking at signs, looking at things and just picking things up. And that works specifically when it comes to anything, whether it be films, music, or anything in between. If you see an advertisement, you're like, oh, yeah, didn't realize that was coming out. Brilliant, I'll go and see that. It works the same over here, and it's vastly Sony and pretty much non-existent for Xbox, and it needs to step up. 100% needs to step up.
So the marketing is really laxed in there, which is surprising to me, because I've heard, and this is the conversation for obvious reasons. This is a conversation I like to have, having experience in the various countries I've had. I like to hear what other folks are experiencing there. I've spoken to folks in Portugal. I've spoken to folks in like Cuba, spoken to folks in, what was that other country? India. And a lot of them have had similar conversations, and especially with India, which is surprising as hell to me. PUBG was PUBG Mobile was banned. Was banned in India government. for the government for a small amount of. How many people were lost in a day? Like 25 million players in one day, just because the mobile version was disabled. But for some reason, these manufacturers, these platform holders, don't think that they should have a local team that speaks Hindi and speaks all the various dialects and is on the ground. 25 million people lost their game in one day. 25 million in one day, in one game, on their phone. Insane. I would think if y'all are money men, if y'all are money people, everybody would be like, all right, well, we know where to start our next headquarters. We're moving to India, right? But for some reason, they still get short shrift. They're still second-class citizens when it comes to all of this stuff. It drives me weird. Like, I just think it's so unusual, and Holland has also been one of those. One of my really good friends, like I said, I lived there for a long time, left in 2001, have a lot of good friends and family still living there. So from time to time, I like to go back. And then the T virus came and ruined my world, so I haven't been able to go back in a few years. But I have a lot of good friends who back in the day we used to play Mortal Kombat together. Salute to those who know. We used to play Mortal Kombat on PlayStation 1 together in Holland. We had tournaments and this and that. They went from 360 and were like, nope, no more. We don't get. We are second-class citizens. We never get anything from Xbox. Like they, even though Holland is an English-speaking country and everybody can speak English pretty well, most of the time you don't get localization in Dutch.
Nope.
It's a lack of respect, and a lot of them, like from the friends that I know, were just like, Nate, no more. From now on, it's all PlayStation. PatJeuh, do you sense a lot of that? I know that you're big on Xbox still, but in your group, in the place you live in, you live in my city. I consider it my city.
Yeah.
The Hague is my city. Do you notice a lot of people is it all PlayStation all the time? And are you basically the rare person among all the PlayStation fans in Holland now, or is it still a fight? Is it still back and forth? There's a lot of Xbox people there too.
Well, there's not really a fight, but you know that I think there are more people that play on the PlayStation than do on the Xbox. All do because
that goes without saying. Of course.
Yeah, it's true. Like the advertising year in the Netherlands with Xbox is shit. Like you don't see almost nothing. Like no TV commercials. Like Dutch also says, no boardings aside the street, that kind of things. You don't see that from Xbox, and it's pretty disappointing for me. Like
as a fan, you want them to do more. You want to be about more of the stuff that they're about, right?
Yeah, exactly. Like I don't. It's not that I hate. I hate the console wars. I'm not like that. Everybody can play what they want and do what they want. But if it's me, they should do much more for Xbox in the Europe countries. Yeah, for sure.
No,
well, famously for the Netherlands, of course, on the Xbox One launch, and Erwin's told this story a number of times, but he had to travel to Germany to get the Xbox One because they didn't release the Xbox One in Netherlands.
That's right.
For the year till the year after.
Yeah,
which is
true. Insane. It's in America, for those who don't understand, if you live in Nederland and you have to go to Germany to go get your console, it's the equivalent of living in one state and they're not releasing it, and the equivalent of driving an hour and a half, maybe 2, 3 to another state just to get it there because they're not servicing your state, which is insulting. It's very insulting. It's so stupid. If you're going to release it in Germany, you might as well release it in Holland and France. And they're literally states that just happen to speak different languages together. That's how I explain it to my American friends. If you feel like you're driving through your 50 states, pretend you're doing that in Europe. It just so happens that everywhere you go, everyone speaks something different. But they also deserve the same thing that Germany got for some reason. I'm sure there's logistical reasons for why they don't do that, legal and otherwise, but it's just a bad look. It really just looks consistently bad all the time that they keep doing that. The Halo beta being the most recent recent example of that. I really hope that, and for those who are like, hey, we're bashing, I bash because I love, I love that console. I love that ecosystem. The fact that 10, 20 years from now, if I ever decide to come back to the Avengers, my game save will be there. Yep. Where I played it will continue. And if I'm on the latest and greatest Xbox at that time or even more powerful PC, it'll show all those benefits. So I love that platform exists, and I want it to continue to exist. These are just things that need to be worked on. They really do.
100%.
$2 trillion company makes more money than most humans will ever see in their lives, right?
Yep.
You can buy PlayStation multiple times and still be one of the most wealthiest companies in the world. How is it that they can get localization and marketing right everywhere and you can't? It's all about resources. That's the name of the game. You have way more than almost anyone else in the friggin' world, but you don't have enough to, open an office in Holland, have some Dutch-speaking people who potentially have
all about mind share.
Exactly.
You've got they've been missing out on the mind share because they haven't done the basics. You need to start from the ground up, and we've been saying this for years. I feel like now, but the marketing has been lax for Xbox on a shall we say a street level for a long time.
Exactly, street level. That is a good point. Please continue.
Yeah, the street level is non-existent. Even, I mean, we're talking about games that came out even just this generation, but Psychonauts 2 is one of the best games of this gen so far, without a shadow of a doubt. And that's zero, not one thing advertised for that. Not one.
Where
not
are
even.
Where are the plushies? Where are the cool toys for the kids? This is a game that kids can play.
100%.
Where are all those things?
Yeah. It's
like
absolutely not a thing. Not even a TV advert.
That's right. Like I was saying to you about speaking to on Spaces, I was speaking to the gentleman from India. He's like, out here, we got people still hunting for the PS3. There's so much into the zeitgeist of gaming that some people are literally still in 2021 hunting to try and find a PS3 because the 4 and the 5 are way beyond their budget, or they can't even find one or buy one. So they're still out there trying to buy a PS3. Phil Spencer, a long time ago, said in an interview that they get telemetry that shows them that 1 million PlayStation, Xbox 360 users still turn on their console. 1 million to this day. Why don't you put an app on that thing that lets them get access Game Pass in all these different countries? You know what I'm saying? Like, there's certain decisions that they're not making. You know, they'll say that and then just let it sit. Makes no sense to me for some reason. I don't get why it is that they have so much resources and they see money on that table. They're going, yep, we're just going to leave it there. We're going to walk by and see if anybody else decides to pick up this money that's on this table. You know, makes no sense at all to me. I don't get it. I don't get it. But okay, I guess we can transition from more of the bashing to maybe more uplifting, hopeful note. What do you guys think, specifically in your countries, right? If you got a chance, right, and this happens, just so you know, if you happen to catch Phil Spencer online on Xbox, whether he's playing Destiny or something like that, there's a chance you can hit join and you'll just jump into the chat. He's all about that. I've actually seen some people on Twitch streaming one day and saw Phil Spencer playing Destiny 2. They jumped in, and right there, Phil Spencer was on their Twitch chat with them, playing the game, talking games with them. You know, he's cool like that. Every time I've seen him with a joinable link, I'm like, should I do it? I'll leave this man alone. He's busy.
I need to keep an eye on him.
Keep an eye on it. You might be able to jump in. It's awesome. I saw a dude doing it. It's very cool. Okay. Adam is a friend. When he's always about it, right? I have heard him on chats with people in a hypothetical world, right? You're now gaming, you're playing PUBG, you're playing something, you see Phil Spencer on, he jumps in, you start chatting. Oh, it's Phil Spencer, the head of gaming. What do you tell him, PatJeuh? No say for no. What do you tell him about how gaming is in Nederland and what you want for him to do to make it better? What is your, in this hypothetical world where it's just you and him, nobody's listening, y'all could just chat. What do you say?
Oh wow. Yeah,
because he does this. He listens. So it's a hypothetical that could happen.
Yeah.
Well, I've heard Randolph Thor and a few other people jump into chats with him, and they give him a piece of their mind. They say whatever the hell they want, and he listens. What would you say?
I would say advertise much more in like the Netherlands or like in Europe. You know, show off with what you have. Like show the games that you can play for that amount of money on the Game Pass. You know, like I think that's one of the things that they really need to do is like show the people what you can get with the Xbox Game Pass, how many games you can play, the different kind of games you can play, family games, shooting games, racing games, you name it, you know. And if I think if they do that here, like make a commercial. It doesn't need to take like 10 minutes. No, 2 minutes is enough, you know. And I think that will probably really help them to grow much bigger than they are now. And yeah, I think that's the first thing that I want to say to Phil Spencer that they need to do, like the advertising in Europe. That's a big issue at this moment.
Yeah, no, good point. Good point. How about you, Dutch? Same scenario. You're in there, big team battle or another Halo multiplayer, because you know he's gonna be all Halo when the time comes. You know, you jump in, You're chatting with Phil Spencer. What do you tell him? Hey, so you play in the UK? Okay, cool. What is it that he needs to know that he doesn't know about you and where you game and where you think he could do better?
Yeah, we've been speaking about it. Specifically, ask him about like you need better localization in the EU, but you also need to really stop underestimating local advertisements, street level advertisements, because the competition are leagues above you when it comes to street level advertising. Billboards and bus sides and metro sides and things. You've got nothing. There is nothing there. It's invisible. So when people are asking me about games and what's on Xbox and things like that, no one has an idea because there's nothing to show it. And like Pat said, you could just easily put a little billboard up of Game Pass if that's what you're pushing for, and just have every particular character, all the different games that are coming out, and then just the price, this much per month. They just advertise it. Secondly, I would say Rise 2 when. Rise 2 when.
Rise
Give me Rise 2.
Yeah.
Give me Rise 2. Do it. And get a Sobo, please. Because
there you go. See, these are the things we want to know. Good stuff. Yes. And I want this for Christmas, and I want the one that has opposable thumbs.
yeah. Buy a Sobo and give me Rise 2. That's it.
Oh, yeah. Please go ahead.
Can I say one more thing?
Speak. Yes.
Like I said, the advertising. But what you also notice is like on Twitter, sometimes Xbox has like some kind of competition that you can actually win something. But when you see the countries that are able to participate with it, it's France, Germany, Spain, but Netherlands, really, it's between the two countries that you support, but you
never really support them.
I really want to know, because I did try to search on the internet what's the reason why Xbox doesn't like support the Netherlands with those kind of things, So
do you find anything interesting?
No, nothing. I couldn't find anything. I'm still trying to figure out why
it's so strange. It's so strange.
I
don't get it. I don't get it. Especially Europe, specifically Holland. Other countries may have certain issues. I get all that. Specifically Holland, let's be real. The Netherlands is the hub of Europe, right? That's why anybody flying anywhere, you'll end up in Amsterdam before you go to your destination, right?
Yep.
And it's good that you end up in Amsterdam. Pro tip for anybody in the States who has not been to Europe, go there first. You can ask for directions and they'll actually understand the question that you're saying. It took me 6 months to learn Dutch because the English language and Dutch is not that different. Like the more it's different, but it's the same, it's, and I get some shout outs for Rotterdam. Rotterdam is in the house. So, so it still surprises the hell out of me that even with all that established, and we know, and I know, we know that Microsoft knows this.
Yeah.
But for some reason, they always get second-class citizens whenever these things actually matter. When like the contests you're talking about, perfect idea. I understand that, you can't, they're very big in advertising on Twitter, and Twitter is not region specific, right? So everybody gets to see everything. But if that was me, I'd be like, oh, here's the North American contest and here's the European contest, and maybe the stipulations are different based on where you are, but at least give them theirs. Give them theirs because they deserve it. And there's a lot of people that live there. And those people actually end up probably spending more money than the Americans do. Like my time in Holland, that's what that tells me. Even the brokest of broke dudes will buy the 230 euro sneakers because that's what you do. So it's in their best interest to market to these people because they spend a lot of money out there. It's always surprising to me that that's still a question that they still don't seem to have answered. How about on PlayStation side? Like I know that you guys said that as far as the marketing is concerned, they do very good. Do you guys see like a local street team? Is there marketing specific to your region, or is it just they're flooding the zone with the same commercials everywhere you go, and that's what they do there? Specifically on Sony side, what do you guys think? I'll start with you, Dutch. Like, have you seen? Yeah. I know you say you see a lot of advertising from them and all that. Yeah. Is it just? I know that they are sponsoring the football teams, and by football I mean the real football, not that stuff y'all do with your hands. That's neither here nor there. will continue. You know, like, you know, I see that they sponsor teams. They're in that mental zeitgeist that everybody knows. Oh, that's PlayStation, right? Are they doing what they're supposed to do? Are they righteous in there, or do you see in areas that they need improvement? You know, because although we're complaining, right, the competition's hot and heavy and it's coming.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Do you think they will succeed in this gen without even worrying about it, or are there some changes necessary?
What, for Sony or for Xbox?
For Sony, I think.
Sony don't need to change. Sony have had that street level marketing down for years. They just need to keep up with the same level for them. Every time a new game comes out, without fail, every time a new game comes out, you automatically see the signs. Like when Ratchet and Clank come out, that was on the side of the buses weeks before it released. Horizon was exactly the same. God of War was exactly the same. Like all the big first party titles, as soon as they're coming out, you can guarantee that's going to be on the side of a bus, or it's some side of local transportation links or on signs outside. You can almost guarantee it every time. They don't need to improve. Not only that, but they've been kind of sponsoring football for the longest of times, the Champions League, everything like that.
I did see that Microsoft started sponsoring some football teams. I thought in the UK I saw something about that.
US, the US, they've got Seattle Sounders, I think it is,
which doesn't matter at all. But continue.
To us,
yes,
yeah.
No, in general, it doesn't matter. Like I would love soccer to be a thing in America. It's not. So sponsoring them is useless right now. You know, but continue.
Yeah. In terms of sponsoring football over here, they sponsored the England national team to make it the I don't know what it is. It's some kind of, again, it's not going to be, in terms of what they're pushing out, I don't think it's going to be anywhere near the level that people thought it would be. They're like their official esports or official gaming partner. I mean, England's never been in, as a football team or as a nation, never been gaming partnered with anything. They haven't done anything gaming related. They don't have their own esports team. Like club levels are doing a little bit more esports over here, but again, that's mostly Sony focused, or depending on where that person wants to play their game of FIFA. I don't think they really, and I think the vast majority of esports stuff anyway, still to this day, is played on PlayStation. Very few.
Now, of course, they have the Evo connection, and they've locked up the gaming when it comes to fighting. And I know Holland was big in fighting games back in the day, so that also solidifies them as the brand out there.
It does.
You know,
and the only time Xbox get involved in esports is when it's their own things. So again, if you're looking at the likes of Forza, if you're looking at the likes of Gears, likes of Halo, like unless it's Xbox specific, then it's not really mentioned about. For if you have a look at Call of Duty and things like that, that's primarily always played PlayStation. If you look at PUBG, that's mainly PC. So esports wise, that's never been a thing, and sponsoring the England thing was more of a very quick advertisement thing. We've never heard anything of it since.
It didn't seem like it was going to be that commitment, that PlayStation level commitment of year on year flooding the zone with advertisements everywhere. It's not that, right? It's just a small little drop in the bucket for now.
It's for their national team, so it might see more of it during the World Cup. You might see a little bit, but the World Cup's not being played in England, so they'll probably just wear it on their like warm-up kits or something. At most, they're not going to put it on their full kits whilst they're playing the game, so that's out the window. Like the England national team very rarely does anything in the UK anyway. As you know, with national football, it's always just Premier League or the nation's kind of main leagues. And each one of them individually is always just, again, the national sponsor for the Premier League is mainly PlayStation, if you do see anything. Very, very rarely, if ever, have I ever seen an Xbox advertisement during any kind of Premier League football.
Now, besides that, what about the others, like your Ubisofts? And I know they're usually done it within the context of like a deal with a platform manufacturer, whether it be PlayStation or whatever. But do you see beyond that? Like, is there like this game big? Is gaming in general a big big marketing draw out there, or is it usually within the confines of platform A or platform B? Nintendo and all that.
Yes, gaming in general is big, but it's still very much. I wouldn't say it's hush hush, but people don't speak on it as much as like a wider audience. It's still very much people kind of, oh, you're a gamer. Like people kind of still keep it to themselves, which is
So
it's a shame.
it's not as out and out as it is in the States now. I think COVID has really changed the mentality of gaming to where, hey, everybody does it now, and it's become this big thing that everybody's like, hey, this is what saved us when we were away from humans.
This is what saved my
so people are
mentality.
like, really, that's right. So people are really they're taking it seriously than they used to, and I appreciate that. You don't see that happening as much in Europe still, huh?
No, it's. I don't think it's specifically that they're not just not taking it seriously as well. I think it's just the mind frame still hasn't changed from what it used to be. Like it's still very much you're a gamer. You're a real geek.
Yeah, you get that stigma.
That's still stigma. Yeah, even though more people play games, and I still get more people coming out. Oh, what do you do? And I'm like, oh, I do this. Like, oh, mint will, and then they'll open up and they're just like, right. Then they'll start talking games, but otherwise they'll just keep it to themselves. Like, they don't mention it. And I think that's still the stigma. And obviously, Ubisoft has Ubisoft Reflections, which is based in Newcastle in the UK, which is not far away from me. We've got a number of studios kind of either locally or within an hour or so away from us. So it's not that far. Like, we've got lots of studios here. Ubisoft are probably outside of first party, or probably the bigger advertisers, obviously outside of your natural FIFAs. Which is kind of hand in hand with football anyway. But FIFA, fortunately, needs no advertising. People know FIFA.
So it sounds like Microsoft is the only one that really is kind of behind the eight ball. Yeah. Interesting. And how about in Holland? Now, just a quick aside, like I know, and that's the weird thing about Holland. There's a lot of tech out there, but most people don't know that. Like Nixis is the Dutch company that was bought by PlayStation just now. Gorilla is out of Utrecht. Like, they've been there for years. Holland is full of two pieces of talent that most people don't know: music and computers. Most people don't know that the Dutch are full of musicians. I used to live there. Lots of music there, and there's a lot of tech there as well. I'm surprised there aren't more like game developers coming out of Holland. There's a lot, and there are more. I've started to notice, hey, this game is fun. Come to find out, it's created by some company in Hilversum, and this company, there's a lot of them out there. Do you see, like, because of that? Because I think since there are so many of them out there like that, I would be pushing them in your region. Hey, these are your local developers. Play their games. Do that more. Do you see like a lot more people noticing that, hey, Nederland needs to be respected more for the technical prowess that they have? Or is it just kind of like the mensen die weten, and those who don't know, they just don't know? How is that?
Yeah.
Like, are people getting to realize how big it is out there?
I like you said, like the music industry here in the Netherlands is pretty big, because few of the best.
I know
DJs
a few musicians in Holland. They are
few
huge.
of the best DJs come from the Netherlands. And gaming wise, I'm not. Never ever did I like focused on that. We have Thomas Salla, the dev of the Falconeer. I think
he's also great. I love that guy. I love his temperament. He has this Dutch scheid vibe. I care not about anything. I'm just gonna say what I gotta say. I love that guy. It's great.
Yeah. He's nuts. We had him on the show one time.
Yes, I saw it. Great show. Yes.
I think Dutch did 2 interviews with him. But that beside of him, I have no idea. Guerrilla Games then that you were the ones that you mentioned, but so sure,
it's not really out there like that, huh?
No, I cannot even come up with any names. It's difficult.
There are middleware tools that are used for games, like middleware tools that literally everybody uses, that have been produced to come from Nederland from like the 90s, and nobody even gives it a second thought. There are tools that have been used in gaming that have been created by Dutch companies for so long. And it's just like, you hear about Gorilla. Oh, they're the big guys. they're one of many out there. It just seems like they don't get the attention that they deserve. Holland is full of a lot of very interesting talent out there, and I'm surprised that we don't see more of them, come to fruition, come to the forefront. I don't know whose problem that is. Maybe it's the Dutch, like, not giving the attention enough to those areas. Like I came to Holland to visit some family not too long ago, and I was just surprised that some people just don't get that. Y'all have the better internet than most people do. You have access to more stuff than most people do, but a lot of people are just like, they don't know that. They think America's better. It's not. It really is. So I'm just surprised that
exactly what you said. We think the other way around. We think like America,
y'all think the other way around, 100%.
Yeah.
Yes.
True.
But most of the stuff we enjoy, like when Horizon Zero Dawn comes out, that's Dutch material, and most people don't know that. And I want to be like, hey, hello, let's wave that flag. Give them the orange flag and the respect that they damn well deserve, because that is a great studio and has been doing it for many years. I love. Go ahead.
Like, who knows what the future will bring? With all the consoles that are out now, with all the next gen and the 4K, 8K. I don't know what people talking about.
All the ridiculous Ks. You don't need those Ks. Leave those Ks alone.
Yeah, exactly. And who knows? Like in the future, like the Netherlands will be like more in the picture of like the big companies like Xbox or PlayStation.
I hope so, 100%. I hope so.
I've
actually heard recently Microsoft and them talking about how they want to diversify in different areas. In not exactly in the Netherlands, because they're not upcoming, but they see a world where maybe Indian developers get into the mix, or African developers get bought, so that they can tell stories of their way back in the day. And I should tell you guys this, because you'll uniquely understand. The reason why this podcast is called The Gaming Circle is because in Scheveningen, which is a big beach in Holland, there's a circle that is literally in the middle of the city, right? And back in the day, when me and my boys were broke and had nothing to do, we would buy cheap alcohol and go sit in this circle and talk games all day in Scheveningen. We used to call it the Gaming Circle.
That's
and
5
we used to
minutes
go
away
there
from my
all the
home.
time. 5 minutes away from it. That's why this podcast is called what it's called. So you understand where I'm coming from. So yes, I expect a lot more people to understand that this gaming thing is everywhere, and it's really big, and it's just surprising to me that so far it's still very much a niche product for those that know. And those that don't know just kind of, move on. And then they hear, hey, have you heard this game making $2 billion? Oh, that's weird. And then they just keep moving on. Gaming is becoming ubiquitous everywhere. Go ahead, Pat.
Yeah, I'll tell you a funny story. A few months ago, my company where I work is fused together with another company that's localized in Amsterdam.
Okay.
And so also the CEO of that company, the director, is now also at our location sometimes. And what I've noticed is that when he introduced himself, he said he loves gaming. This guy is like, I think he's almost like 50 or something. And the first time, seriously, this is no joke. The first time when he was on the working ground where I work, he saw my head, my PUBG head, and it was laying on the table, and he came to me, to my section, and he saw the head, and he was like, "From who is this head?" And I said, "Yeah, me." And he was like, "Man, I'm also playing PUBG on the PC."
That's so cool.
And since then, every time when I see him, he starts about gaming, and it's
there you go.
It's crazy, yeah. But
there you go. See, like in America, they say the biggest deals are made on the golf course. I see a future where the biggest deals are made in a virtual world on an Xbox Live chat on, that's where most people communicate now, especially in a world where you don't want to shake shake people's hands. We're going into a different world where a lot of people are going to be respecting this gaming thing we do a whole lot more than they are now. That's awesome to have a boss who genuinely appreciates it. Shoot, I'm jealous. That's pretty cool. That's
so
really
funny to see and also hear his experience. But like I said, also with the what we talked about before is that with the Xbox, when I started about Xbox, he was like, "Oh man, I have no idea." Like he doesn't know anything or
So
doesn't
even
see
gamers who
or
like games don't know about Xbox. That's another
yeah,
black eye from
exactly. Yeah,
Microsoft out there. That's
yeah,
really, really interesting. There you go.
yeah. It
There you
is.
go. All right. Well, you know what? We're about the 2-hour mark. This was a show that I kind of wanted to put together and really like emphasize the global nature of gaming and some of the issues that we're facing in that global market. And I kind of want to continue that conversation. I like that we have gamers from all over the world that can come jump in and give us experiences from their perspective. The idea that it's always about the American gamer and what goes on here and all of that. I honestly think, and I live here. I live in the States, so it's not to bash one versus another or whatever. But I honestly think that the other locations in the other regions need to be elevated to Americans' status because it will be better for everyone, including Americans, right? I saw somebody in the chat when I was playing Ghost of Tsushima footage going, "Is that Assassin's Creed Japan?" No, it's Ghost of Tsushima, right? But if we live in a world where a lot more voices are allowed to make decisions, bring games out, more different studios and developers, you will see Grand Theft Auto, I don't know, someplace else besides America and your standard places all the time, right? Which is what we've always wanted. When me and my boys was sitting at that gaming circle, that's what we were dreaming about. Remember, can you imagine a world where Grand Theft Auto is in Tokyo somewhere? Wouldn't that be awesome? And then Sleeping Dogs came out, and I was like, yes, it is awesome. If you haven't played Sleeping Dogs, it's under $10. Go play it. It is cool. Grand Theft Auto Asia. It is awesome. Anyway, so I love this conversation. We can continue talking about this for a long time, but we're rounding the end of this episode, so we're going to go into the outros. And first off, I will start with you, Mr. Wandering Dutch. I appreciate you coming. This is the second time you've made your appearance here. First time you snuck in through the back door. I appreciate it. This time you came through the front. I appreciate everything you do. And you're always out here in the community, lifting people up, not taking shit from anybody. Tell the fine folks where they can find you and what you're doing this week.
Yeah, definitely. You can find me on Twitter at Wandering Dutch and on YouTube at Wandering Dutch. And of course, like I say, we have that Twitch channel as well for the Midweek Mix-Up Collective. You can find me also on Monday evenings on Primetime Gaming with Kiasante and Boom and Friends as we shoot the shit on our usual gaming topics. Wednesdays, Midweek Mix-Up, of course, 7 p.m. UK. That is, of course, 2 p.m. Eastern and 11 a.m. PST. Of course, that will change slightly when clocks go forward, backward, whatever it is next. But yeah, every Wednesday, of course, occasionally, like the week before last, we do Thursday shows as opposed to Wednesdays, depending on who we have on as guests. Last week, we spoke specifically about Halo and our experiences with that and our hopes for that when it does release. The prior week, we spoke to Xbox program manager, Alan Calan.
I saw that
Alan
episode. That was really fun. That was a fun episode. Yeah.
Speaking of gamers from around the world, of course, he now lives in the US, but grew up in Mexico. So again, he has other perspectives, and again, a different kind of perspective altogether, because it's a nation, of course, that is monetary-wise far different to that of the EU and Europe and the UK. So yeah, it's go and check that out if you haven't already. Really cool guy. Really good stories about him growing up in Mexico and how gaming affected them, and how he even that day. When he first got it, he didn't even think the Xbox was an Xbox. He thought it was a Nintendo. So it goes to show on kind of the perspectives people had for Xbox and still do. Even now he works at Xbox. Of course, people still have that idea of it. And over in Mexico, it's a Nintendo or PlayStation. Like, there is no kind of in-between. And Xbox really isn't a thing, and it needs to be. Of course, it's grown a lot over time. Mexico City's a big Xbox place. Brazil's a big Xbox place, but yeah, you can find me on those locations under the same name, Wandering Dutch. Awesome to be on today. Thank you to awesome host Kiasante and of course my brother PatJeuh070 for joining us. If everybody hasn't done Please drop a like, share this out, and subscribe. Be awesome.
Thank
you again.
Thank you, good sir. And PatJeuh070 Safe and No, thank you so much for joining us. This is your first podcast. I am honored. I'm thrilled to have you here. You lend really interesting perspective to the conversation. Dutch already knows this. He's no longer a guest. He knows where the fridge is. You also no longer a guest. Whenever you want to come by, you have a topic of conversation, you're in the chat. You just want to invite, say, hey, where's my code? And I will send it to you and you will be on this show, good sir. Tell us where we can find you. Tell us about your Twitch streams. Tell us all the happenings that you have going on Twitter. And of course, all these fine gentlemen, of course, you will find all their show notes and all their information in our show notes. The links to all that stuff is available to you. Please reach out to these folks, subscribe to their channels, be a part of their community because it makes all of us better and it makes the community stronger. Please, PatJeuh, speak to us. What you got going on this week?
All right, so guys, first of all, I want to thank you, Kea Sante, for inviting me for your podcast. Really an honor. Also, a big shout out to the chat, new people that I've seen. So yeah, man, pretty awesome to be here. You guys can find me on Twitter under the same name as it says right here, PatJeuh070. You can also find me on Twitch under the same name. I stream 3 days, maybe 4 days in the week. Play different kind of games. So yeah, man, you can always join the chat. And who knows, you can also join the game. So I'm also always up for a game. And I love to play with new and with my friends on the Xbox. That's the main platform that I play on. So I mentioned it before. We also have a midweek mix-up collective Twitch channel. It's for upcoming streamers. That we launched, I think 2 months ago now. So if you're a streamer and if we can help you out, the midweek mix-up panel, then yeah, man, who knows? I can host your program, give a shout out to you on social media, and grow your community. So
thank you so much. No, that's great.
Yeah, no problem.
That's absolutely awesome. It's and you're a natural on here. If this is your first show, you should get invited more. There are lots of people who would love your perspective. It's great. You did a good job. Oh, and before we bounce, right, I was going to talk about the Everborn saga, and he has made a quick good day.
Welcome from New York Comic Con, sir.
Welcome. Why don't you take the stage and speak to us? Speak to us, man.
I just wanted to say what's happening. I'm sorry I could not be there, but I'm here at the show floor. We are at the Everborn booth, I-25. It is an absolute madhouse here. Lots of new fans, and thank you guys. I promise I will be back next week with all my exploits of what happened here today. But you can see we got a whole stand going on here, and I probably have to get back to do some more selling. So I'm going to let you guys go, and have a great show. I hope there wasn't too much PC apologizing. So counsel all day, every day.
I still need to get one of those books signed by you.
Yeah, man, definitely. So let me run because I'm getting ready to go do a panel on diversity in comics, and we will go from there. But I will see you guys in the Twitter streets.
Have a great one,
brother. Thank you, good sir. Thank you so much for blessing us with some content. Thank you, man. We'll see you again soon. Later, man. So that's awesome. I was hoping that he would grace us with his presence a little bit, and he was able to do that right at the end. So thank you so much. The Everborn saga. You see him in New York Comic Con. If you happen to be there, I think tomorrow, maybe the last day, you can do so. Go check him out. Go show some support. He's on Twitter posting pictures with a bunch of people who came, signed books for them. He's kissing hands and shaking babies, as they say. So go out there and support this man. Supporting his dream. He's having a lot of fun out there, as we can tell. I want to thank the Wandering Dutch. I want to thank PatJeuh for coming out and representing with me and having this awesome conversation. I am K Asante, TKO Asante on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. You follow me, I'll follow you back. I will be actually tomorrow at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on Seasoned Gaming's Bitcast with Ainsley Bowden. I'm so excited.
Nice.
It's one of my bucket list situations. I can't wait to talk to this man and be on this podcast. I'm so excited about it, and that'll be happening tomorrow. So if you have the opportunity to, please come check me out. Once again, I will say, because I had to say it at least twice on this show, please like, subscribe. If you have any questions, if you have any comments, if there's anything we can do in your opinion to make the show better, leave a comment in the show notes. We will definitely, I read all the comments that are put there, and I reply to everybody. We're just trying to grow this channel, make it better and bigger for everybody, and just that enjoyment of tech and enjoyment of gaming that we do without all the ridiculousness and all that stuff. Yes, the slander was to a minimum this week because the aforementioned Everborn Saga is out there doing other things. I'm sure the slander will be lifted up, and the savagery will come back with his return next week. It's been super fun. I've enjoyed myself having a great conversation with these wonderful gentlemen. But until next week, we'll see y'all later.